The dude right here used to solo, rule all 8 ultimate underworld zones, literally every single ghost. Catching a game over, had to face his vibe. Check did not matter if you were a top-tier king or a basic loot goblin. Everyone caught those brutal banhammers for their toxic gameplay. Playing the main admin role, our boy Yama kept his face totally deadpan and iced out, but right at his absolute peak server ranking. He straight up uninstalled the game to touch grass. His sidekick Old Boomer warned him that the new mod Thick Beard was completely throwing the match. Our MC just smirked without a single care in the world, since he was about to hit that prestige button, as long as he stepped foot inside his personal spawn point and grabbed his final clear screen. His ultimate wish would pop off. He told the old head that even after rebooting his character, he would not wipe his memory right after that. He kicked the lobby doors wide open. The visual glitch waiting for them had both dudes questioning their whole existence. The main torture hub that was supposed to look like a gory horror map got patched into a literal cottage core. Aesthetic streams were flowing with 0 hit points and pure, just total Disney princess animal noises. Like, bro, is this not the creepiest update ever? How on earth did the bearded dude botch this? The massive fryers meant for cooking souls were completely unplugged. The stone-smashing bowls built for punishing the noobs were literally just holding basic sky juice. The duo was entirely shook, because the bearded replacement guy had totally ghosted the chat, acting insanely sus. They scouted every single corner of the turning up with absolutely 0 player tags. Major red flags were popping up everywhere. Our boy looked like he just lost all his save data. With the main quest giver missing, how the heck was he supposed to get his new character slot? Bro, he had been grinding offline forever for this. Was his fresh start, literally crashing before the loading screen. Out of nowhere, the boomer started screaming at him to dodge roll before our MC could even press a button. Some wild, shiny beam, glowing like premium loot, crashed right onto his skull, carrying some heavy-duty endgame energy. Yama instantly checked the caller ID and realized it was his former CEO, the literal top god. Wait, you seriously want me to track down the missing beard guy, bro? That is totally a skill issue on your management team. Why should I carry you? Dropping demands like you own my account. Especially when your garbage admin skills are the exact reason my respawn is heavily bugged out. My 2 weeks notice is already submitted. Actually, hold up. Are you seriously getting the sheer audacity had Yama raging off the charts? His physical model started blasting out massive crimson shockwaves, projecting such an insanely overpowered aura that the big boss had to literally backpedal. The heavenly sky beam slowly nerfed itself into nothing, yet even with max aggro, he still accepted the tracking quest to bag the bearded dude, mostly because securing that guy was his only ticket to a fresh playthrough. You better drop some legendary. 0 hesitation following that chat. Our guy fast-traveled straight into the human server, the second his boots touched the map he was swimming in. Hardcore fiery hazard zones. Earthrealm is wild today. What kind of apocalyptic patch note is this? He pivoted his camera angle and spotted a massive lobby of NP spamming the help button, checking the graphics up close. Our boy noticed super weird textures, clipping through the fire. It was a whole army of rogue absolutely griefing the entire mortal base. Wait, hold on. Yama was totally shook. You trashed inmates broke out and I needed targets anyway. One tried to land a critical hit on a tiny kid. The ex-king dashed in and yeeted the mob with a casual right hook, catching a massive spike in hostile threat meters as a bunch of fans completely boxed him in. Our M's did not even flinch. Are you, clowns actually, losing your coding right now? Glitching out of the underworld prison is but farming bad karma right in front of the head. Dev down in this dimension, any player who logs out of life gets a dead status. Before catching their final review from the shadow mods, they gotta grind through the 8 punishment realms, covering all the toxic stuff they did online. Exclusively those who drop genuine apologies post-ban get the character reset looking at these absolute hackers. Our guy hit maximum rage mode. The corrupted files lacked the brain cells to care, and just Zerg rushed his location. He literally deleted the first incoming mob, dealing so much damage the character model twisted into spaghetti code. Pinning the rusher deep into the pavement, that combo string triggered a massive scarlet area, blast dropping that highly recognizable vibe, mixed with completely busted power scaling, which left the remaining mob pack too paralyzed to step up. The goat hit them with a "Why did the damage per second suddenly stop?" Do not tell me your artificial intelligence finally figured out you are totally right on cue. A random projectile flew straight out of the ghost huddle, but our boy just looked at it like absolute mid-trash, turning out to be an elite phantom dripping in massive gore stats and projecting boss-tier pressure. He was gripping a jagged wooden spear while screeching loudly, diving straight toward the MC, totally oblivious to the max-level anomaly. Standing right there, our retired admin he refused to hit the dodge button for the thrown weapon, effortlessly parrying the strike with just his raw palm. Energy. Wondering why these glitchy mobs were hunting players. Were they trying to leech health points to hack their own character reboots? Actually, nah, he quickly trashed that theory, since the prestige system is a highly classified dev secret. Only himself and the missing bearded guy had the patch notes. Yama instantly channeled pure crimson damage into his fist, launching he punched a literal donut hole right through the cursed mob, following up with a totally cracked combo that was fast, clinical, and violent. Totally got rolled. That ghost got completely blasted by the fire. Our boy Yama just casually stepped right on his skull. Bro, dropping regular players, our boy QE was actually he was beyond tilted, demanding some patch notes on why this mob was griefing, while the phantom kept glitching out and flailing its top. Completely outplayed him. Yama clocked his low HP bar right away, totally zeroed out on stolen XP. Homeboy was completely brain rot, absolute clown behavior. Then this bozo actually tried to— What a joke! Absolutely zero brain cells? The boss raised his hand for the ultimate finisher, but a whole swarm of straight-up embarrassing latching straight onto his hitbox while the main spirit started cackling like a maniac. The boulder actually connected right with Yama's dome, and seeing that critical hit register, feeling super cocky, the phantom hoisted the chunk of earth like he just won a major tournament, only to watch his entire arm get instantly absolutely zero riz, leaking pixels everywhere. Bro was completely shook and stun-locked. Yama hit him with the Y, so quiet now, dropping that thick, pure final boss, radiating massive endgame vibes, with infinite hellfire, spinning around his avatar. Those dark flames were completely game-breaking. They were literally melting the entire map, geometry in a single frame, making dodging OE damage right under that sick red moon. Our boy tossed back the most villainous death stare ever. Are we absolutely bowing down? The lower tier mobs instantly started shaking and spamming the kneel emote, like their accounts depended on it. No second chances, hitting them with massive penalties for jailbreaking, and straight up griefing the normal player base, throwing out the ultimate ban wave, tracking their stats specifically 2,000 years for the escape exploit and a whopping 10,000 more for player killing. Everything else spiked, calling the mods to the server moderator, Big Beard. Right after that, he literally glitched through reality, exposing his personal underworld lobby, leaving the fans seeing them lag, unable to process the insane graphics on screen. Catching their massive confusion, our overpowered king confirmed they were fast-traveling straight to worst quest ever, forcing them into the most boring farming simulator ever, making them manually harvest every single leaf and branch with zero equipped. Checking the map, once he finally cleared out that wave of trash mobs, the crazy veteran NPC casually dropped a lore bomb, completely mind-blown. Asking if they needed to initiate a tracking quest, Yama was absolutely heated, demanding to know why this sidekick waited so. Pointing mid-lane, the old dude pointed out, the glitching entities were pushing straight toward the campus. Turns out the whole academy had been taken over by these shadow bots, where our girl legit trying to carry rescuing the helpless NPCs during the emergency server wipe, when some random student started acting incredibly sus about her actual class tier, totally calling Cap, roasting her for having such a low power level, while claiming to be a legit ghost hunter. Our girl blaming the drops, claiming she just had insane bad RNG, finding a phantom willing to drop their premium armor gear. Swearing horrible spawn rates. Literally 1 second later, a whole new squad of enemies spawned right at the staircase. Choke point, she instantly commanded pure solo carry, taking on the raid group entirely by herself, yelling for the squad to rush the extraction zone while she spammed a terrible reaction time. Meanwhile, across the corridor, some girl got fully grapple chained by a stray mob right as its teeth were about to— absolute tank energy. Our defensive main tanked the aggro without blinking an eye, dropping right in front of the helpless kid to launch the mob. Zero gratitude shown. But when she turned around to cast a heal check, this absolutely ungrateful brat shoved. Totally ungrateful. NPCs complaining how this so-called pro escort almost let her catch a game over screen, dodging the wipe, realizing her charisma stat was basically zero. Honestly, just grateful. Nobody actually lost any health points out there. Before completely terrified newbies, they kept backpedaling, while the monsters outside spammed heavy attacks against the barricade. This blonde kid was breaking the walls were about to clip right through the textures our protector desperately tried sharing. That a massive high-level player, toxic premium users, but two absolute snobs instantly flamed her to stop trolling and pull a strategy out of her hat, claiming the entire absolute skill issue, basically calling her a fake gamer who brought absolutely zero utility to the raid, blaming her terrible ping for almost such massive ego, pulling out the ultimate, threatening an admin, threatening legal action if his character model got a single scratch exactly when our main guy, Yama, teleported right in to crash the toxic chat, calling out their insane lack of manners before checking his rank, demanding to know his guild ranking, and how he bypassed the closed lobby doors, to which our overpowered bro casually dropped, dropping heavy lore, stepping down from the throne, dropping such massive server completely ignoring him. Our boss was visibly losing his patience, telling the top dev above to stop interrupting his cutscene, while that blonde scrub dashed forward, flaming him for blasting sound effects through the mic, hacking movement tech, begging for an explanation on his insane mobility. Yama clarified. He was just hunting down a rogue target, jumping straight in, assuming a full squad wipe was happening, so he completely bypassed the stairs, naturally causing these absolute casuals to start absolute boomer insults, making jokes that bro was role-playing a legendary guardian while rocking a literal zero-credit trash skin, skipping the dialogue. Our king was just like, whatever, I'm not debating actual toddlers right now. Seeing how their default guardians completely failed the hardcore deathmatch, he would gladly give them the hardcore walkthrough himself, setting that blonde kid into an absolute raging meltdown, screaming for a canceling friendly fire. Our exhausted support rushed mid to stop the brawl, only for the raging blondie to body check her backward, yelling at her to shut her trap right there. Our boy spotted that scratch on the girl and got mad deja vu. Meanwhile, this blonde rich kid threw a massive tantrum over being completely left on read, screaming about his family tree and flexing his imaginary, claiming if his dad ever dropped into the underworld, the literal devil would touch grass and beg for mercy. Bro was totally yapping, which actually made our MC completely lose his mind. Laughing, the brat was absolutely cooked, and seeing Red praying his sugar daddy would, so he instantly aggroed the group. Some random sky magic tried to nerf him, but totally bugged out and friendly fired the girl instead. Coughing up buckets of HP, she literally shoved our boy aside, telling him to fall back while she solo tanks the damage. Watching her step up to the plate made the golden child glitch out entirely, barking at her to check her stats before suddenly whipping out a whole hidden, trying to double kill both of them on the spot. Our boy literally went goblin mode, grabbing the kid by the arm with a grip like a hydra. The brat started squealing like a broken mic, crying for his mommy and begging to be let go. MC dropped the absolute coldest threat ever, asking how this zero brain cell NPC could drop murder threats, questioning his whole tutorial phase. But the toxic gamer kept doubling down, spitting pure copium about how his dad would wipe their servers and feed their avatars to the zombie horde, claiming the mobs would skip them for being actual trash. Our guy just gave a villain's smirk, realizing these actual toddlers were lacking serious patch notes on reality, sighing that brainpower was completely offline here. And since dialogue options were getting skipped, he just grabbed a random stick from the ground like a true caveman, dropping lore about how toxic players only learn when you hand out the banhammer, deciding this new ultimate weapon needed asking the chat for name suggestions. The golden boy was absolutely shook, while a random side character shrieked in confusion. Dropping a massive movie wizard reference out of nowhere, MC nodded like he just unlocked an Easter egg before hitting the dash button, absolutely clapping the rich kid's cheeks with the stick, dealing critical damage to his pride, while our boy stood there like a final boss, mocking him for finally checking the scoreboard, right before his HP hit zero, channeling ultimate dad energy as he spammed a massive combo attack on the brat, taunting him about taking that magic straight to the chin, until the kid was totally disconnected, shifting into top gear to dish out max DPS, asking if the regret was setting in, yet hyping up his wizard stick like it was an overpowered anime movie, laughing like an absolute maniac, which triggered a major horror of leaving the background NPCs literally shaking in their boots, making sure the blonde toxic player was thoroughly humbled with a cherry red hitbox. MC called a timeout to drop one last warning, telling him to reboot his attitude, or the stick was coming back for round. Suddenly, the whole squad realized the zombie raid was fully scaling the walls, crawling up the geometry like massive spiders. Their spawn rate was incredibly broken, looking like a literal insect swarm. But Best Girl actually toggled her survival mode and stood up, pulling full aggro and telling everyone to get behind her shield, offering up her own respawn timer, just so our guy could speedrun an exit. While the useless side character scrambled down the map, she kept spamming MC to hit the exit portal and let her solo the mob, leaving him completely stun-locked, dropping a massive stat reveal that out of 1 billion NPCs, she was the absolute rarest, questioning why she would waste her only lifeline on these absolute trolls, pointing out their zero empathy and pure toxicity. Are they even worth it? Yet she still plays support for the entire team. She just booped him right on the head, dropping major big sister vibes and telling him to quit yapping, ordering him to stop throwing and hit the elevator, making him sigh at her impossible moral compass, wondering if she really bought into that superhero meta, telling her to cancel the sacrifice play because he was logging in, charging up his ultimate attack to wipe the server, but right as the cast bar filled the sky, threw down an error code, the absolute top-tier mod whispering in his ear to dodge the event and go find the bearded dude instead, meaning this girl was destined for a permanent game over leaving our guy tilting hard, while that rich kid actually locked them out at the safe zone, taunting him through the glass like a total coward, claiming it was pure karma for messing with the high-level guild, telling them to stay put and get completely wiped out alongside the girl MC was literally vibrating with pure rage, commanding his ghosts lay a heavy debuff on the brats, but right before he could click the ability, his favorite shield maiden saw the incoming hit and literally dove into the damage zone for him, ignoring her own blinking health bar with the zombies closing the gap, making him question her entire playthrough, leaving our boy absolutely shook as she struggled to stand, dropping the coldest line ever about not needing a side quest to save lives, hitting Mick with massive character development, realizing the bearded guy had totally logged off, letting these glitchy undead trash mobs totally ruin the main server, breaking the entire physics engine while top-tier players get wiped out instead of the griefers. Yet the mods still want to ban him while actual innocents take... Like, seriously? Are we just camping here forever? So he popped his ultimate ability right then and there, spawning a massive screen wipe of red magic that totally one-shotted the entire zombie wave, melting their pixels into pure dust, lighting up the entire skybox, with absolute cinematic graphics declaring he is officially breaking the game rules and doing a solo run from here out. Looking so... I will literally drop a massive bag on you right now, hook you up with that premium underworld health plan, and bro, you get unlimited paid time off. No questions asked. A cracked retirement fund plus your next spawn point is guaranteed, as some crazy rich real estate billionaire kid. So, how about joining the God Squad? Our girl was literally on 1 HP choking on dust, whispering that becoming a deity sounded fire. But she was completely cooked. Maybe they could duo Q in the next playthrough. Nope. Yama just flashed this gigachad smirk saying they were starting the speedrun today, casually whipping out some random red string while this massive blue aura and bam, the starter zone of the underworld spawned right in front of Lai Ji Woo. But plot twist, there were zero creepy bone piles or nasty gore, just an endlessly huge skybox. Yama was bragging about how he totally coded this specific underworld tier himself, telling her she got unlocking the mortal flesh skin in this server, hyping up his brand new intern. But hold up, she was totally shook, because the actual underworld felt straight up ridiculous. Wait, my health bar is totally maxed out. What is even happening right now? And who the heck is this random dude dropping? Literally, the former final boss of the underworld, begging her to drop the formalities and just say, Lord Yama. Like, since when do Grim Reaper? He totally vibed with her weird energy, making her drop her gamer tag before instantly equipping that glowing red string item onto her wrist. Acting like being a cosmic entity was totally normal, just casually mentioning they have literal god mode turned on, plus totally busted magic. Scaling our girl was literally judging him so hard because that is straight up hacking, staring down at her. Admitting it definitely gave her some riz. Suddenly, the skybox started aggressively glitching out with storm audio, hinting the big server admin was spilling the tea, that this was the ultimate connection tether totally required for their crossplay lobby to actually function without getting banned, warning her to protect that drop with her life. because it was a one-of-one legendary item threatening an instant permaban if she misplaced it, cutting Jiwoo, getting jump-scared back to reality by her coworker screaming, practically crying over her mic, because she thought our MC was permanently logged out, brain totally lagging, thinking the whole god encounter was just a fever dream, until her squad mate gushed about how she tanked the whole zombie horde, keeping the team wipe from happening, saying wiped out the mob spawns and we're just doing server maintenance now. Mentioning those random low-level noobs she carried through the raid. We're completely fine, but acting super sus, dripping with some cursed slime debuff and yapping absolutely unhinged nonsense. Ranting about getting styled on by literal Hogwarts wizards. Dropping our girl into absolute shock, realizing that crazy tutorial level actually staring at the literal proof still attached to her character model, when suddenly the big boss Park Hyuna slid into her comms, checking her HP bar, to which she confirmed 0 damage taken, causing the veteran to absolutely flame her for throwing out chaotic low-tier strats, barking that unshielded players have 0 right acting tough, complaining she was definitely not going to loot her dropped items if she got wiped, ordering her to submit the quest log and go touch grass immediately, desperately try to defuse the toxic chat, telling our girl to ignore the massive salt levels, because rumor has it the captain, a massive bounty target she had on radar, which totally explains the grumpy tryhard energy right now, as Lee Ji-woo finds absolutely zoning out at the legendary tether, on her wrist getting horrible flashbacks to the literal Grim Reaper, giving her the tutorial rule. Boomer Ghost just spawned directly in the passenger seat, dropping cryptic dialogue about her triggering a major Doom event. The creepy audio making her cab driver totally panic, checking the rearview mirror, but she nervously laughed it off, claiming some massive random bug just clipped through the window, blaming her whole freak out on terrible RNG, letting her heartbeat reset before she officially opened up a private chat with the crusty phantom, getting the full lore dump that this shadow blob was literally Yama, right-hand man, rocking permanent stealth mode against all basic NPCs. She interrogated the shadow pet about the boss location, learning the Underworld King was currently out handing out massive bans, to his own toxic disciples chuckling that since the big guy showed up in person, those kids were getting completely deleted from the server. Remembering exactly how unhinged that immortal looked during Phase 1, instantly sweating buckets and yelling at the driver to step, realizing if that walking disaster hit the main base, the whole map was going to crumble. Meanwhile, Yama was just sizing up the enemy, mocking how much premium currency these guys definitely blew on base defense. Scoffing that pay to win, armor means absolutely flexing his gross wall hack tracking ability, using literal spit, getting totally mind-blown by automatic doors like it was peak human sci-fi tech, completely ghosting the angry security guards as he face-planted toward the window, screaming, "Let me in," putting just 1 pixel of force into it, turning the heavy-duty glass into absolute confetti, flashing an awkward troll face at the completely stunned lobby crowd, telling them, demanding they fast-travel his targets right to him, sending the entire floor into complete chaos mode, with alarms blaring until some random blonde just started smirking, purring about, sniffing out his signature peppermint aura from miles away, hyping up the arrival of the big bad king while he finally locked onto her hitbox, effortlessly using a low-gravity cheat to parkour straight up to the balcony, hitting her with a death glare that absolutely melted her fake confidence, barking out a massive "who?" ass demanding her character name, causing the enemy to softly laugh, noting he was still rocking that exact same rude, teasing that his memory file was still totally corrupted, offering to drop her intro cutscene all over again, just for him, claiming the gamertag White Ox while bragging about her underworld faction, when suddenly some toxic tryhard from the bottom floor aggressively mic spammed to shut her up and fight back. Bro really looked him dead in the eyes and asked if he brought the loot. Yama was actually... Wait, our boy was absolutely tweaking, ready to speedrun, sending this dude to the lobby. But before, she literally cuts him off, asking if the kid is actually built out of pure sin, telling him he has to listen up, like he's handing out bans. Really that deep. Our guy hits her with, he shut her down so fast, saying he could totally ghost the situation or put it on hold. But if the literal final boss of the underworld turns a blind eye to the toxic players, the carrying teammates are the ones who... Our boy teleports right into the blonde brat's personal space, hitting him with the "literally threw you in the vault" line. Yama casually unequips his basic wooden starter weapon for ultimate, on cooldown. You thought wrong, I warned you, bro. If your game sense is trash, you are going to get clapped by a wizard kid all over again. The blonde kid is just sitting there, entirely shook. This privileged little scrub was basically lagging out from pure terror on the floor, begging not to get bonked with the Nerf bat. Suddenly, the aggro alarms go off and security swarms the zone. But the queen bee, she completely cancels their aggro, telling her squad to stand down because our boy is not a hostile NPC. Yama was actually mind-blown. Like, how does someone with such a soft aesthetic flex that kind of infinite riz and commanding aura? Meanwhile, the blonde coward is wait. No, this dude is literally screeching and dashing for the exit zone until some asking to let the VIP slider slide because he is the spawn of the big boss director Kong Yama. Just hits him with the ultimate. The massive tank starts trauma dumping the lore, explaining that Daddy Kang's guild literally ranks top 3 and they pull massive strings inside the Soul Driver faction, but our MC is completely deadpan. Zero clue why this random stat drop even, like he does not give a single care about pay to win whales or server admins. The guard starts getting sweaty, saying, "You need to stop grieving the rich kid," and log off immediately while actively trying to shove our legendary boy out of the frame. But bro is literally pushing against an invisible wall, sweating bullets, while Yama does not even flinch a millimeter, casually asking if this means high-tier account. Just get a free pass to avoid the ban hammer. Yama is practically laughing in his face. Like, are you actually trolling right now? Every toxic griefer would just buy their way out of the penalty box. Seeing our boy ready to dip, the security dude straight up activates his hidden aura skin, screaming that even normie casuals can equip these cursed cosmetics, flexing his ironclad cheat code armor. Pure chrome hitbox bro was tanky like a literal term. Dude launches himself like a totally unhinged rocket, crashing right into our MC, spamming infinite combo, hits directly into his chest plate. Knocking Yama back a few pixels, the beefy guard is practically emoting on him, asking if he enjoyed that taste of the meta. Bragging about his exclusive armor drop, but only White Ox up on the balcony realizes they are totally cooked, muttering that this absolute fool just triggered the tank spins around just in time to eat a massive galaxy brain punch to the face. Even with his heavy armor buff, he gets sent sliding back a whole zip code, which honestly kind of gave our MC a micro lag, realizing this dude's defense stat is actually cracked. The bodyguard is completely losing his mind. Like, how are you not completely deleted after eating my ultimate attack? I am going to literally uninstall you from the server right now. He starts button mashing wild hooks at Yama, but our boy effortlessly perfect parries every single frame. Absolute bro is literally auto-blocking everything with one single hand. Yama is looking at him like absolute trash, saying, "So you really thought equipping dead people's gear makes you tough?" He channels his inner demon and absolutely boots the guard across the room, following up with an open palm. Nuke saying, "I literally run the tribunal, and griefing the weak is a permanent red flag. I am slapping a 3-month debuff on your spinal cord." Unleashing an explosive fire, charge head straight down through the concrete. Man is permanently stuck in the geometry, while White Ox was honestly mesmerized by Yama's perfectly animated combat frames, yet he could hold up. He totally sensed that our boy's deep compared to his prime era stats, right? Then Yama suddenly pulls up on him asking like, why are these, like, those are literally the cosmetics of the deceased. White Ox tells him to chill out and drop the shocked Pikachu face. They just equipped them for an armor buff. The underworld mobs have been glitching into the mortal server for 20 whole years, leaving the humans stuck in a hardcore survival mode. And their base stats are literally garbage compared to the phantom enemies when those spirits survive the toxic river raid, getting absolutely chewed on by some nasty scaly raid bosses. They spend literally hundreds of years sweating their absolute minds out, just trying not, sometimes grinding XP with their weight stat maxed at 100 pounds, while everything else spiked. Basically the higher your toxicity level, making these ghostly mobs infinitely more cracked than any human player. Though obviously you get a few reformed toxic players, who actually donate their high-level gear to the noobs, handing them the exact power scaling they need to survive. Drops the extra lore that most of them class into soul drivers, but then you have pay-to-win scrubs like this card, who just slap on the gear because their base kit is absolute trash. Right on cue. The crazy old dude and Lee Ji-woo spawn into the lobby. White Ox immediately spots the familiar gamer tag, hyping up the reunion. Like, bro, it has been. We have not co-oped in over 300 years, right? Yama is genuinely caught off guard, asking, wait, you guys are actually on each other's friends list. After totally flaming Yama's absolute trash short-term memory, White Ox starts pinging about Lee Ji-woo, asking, is she not literally one of our top-tier soul? So, why is she suddenly running duo queues with the Demon Lord himself? And honestly, that is basically her whole RNG drop matched mine, exactly catching that sob story. Made White Ox instantly drop a massive F in the chat. Yaman flexed his boss energy right away, asking why she was catching feelings when this girl literally joined the holy dev team, demanding she drop. Our girl White Ox had to spill the lore, explaining she was the Earth Branch Division, Tier 1 support main, literally grinding as an admin assistant, carrying the big beard dude in the underworld. But after dropping that lore, she admitted she was completely clueless about the server updates happening in hell right now. She literally just respawned here. One random Tuesday, totally blind to where Big Beard even logged off. Seeing her clueless, our boy Yama completely lost his mental. Realizing this tracking quest was about to be he told her it was 0% her fault though, making it clear that Big Beard was the one lagging out, making him wonder if the dude actually got nerfed offline, or maybe that absolute troll intentionally corrupted the save file, catching his stress levels peaking, sliding our MC the patch notes without saying a single word, flexing that she had been grinding off stream to fix this whole glitchy mess, putting in that insane try-hard energy. Meanwhile, Lee Ji-woo was sweating through Yama's weird side quest, aggressively hunting down that blonde kid, screaming at him to pause, since Yama's exact troll instructions for her were to straight-up cosplay Harry Potter while screaming "burn the sin, wait what?", causing literally every NPC on the street to freeze. Heavily judging her, while our girl just wanted to disconnect from reality, dying from maximum cringe damage. Wondering if this was the exact reason she caught pity earlier, but mid-panic attack, she blindly crashed right into Park Yune's hitbox. The veteran player hit her with a massive death glare, asking why she was loitering in the danger zone when she was supposed to log off violently, dragging the noob to safety, admitting her random spawn might actually clutch up, demanding a duo queue right now since they had to zero out this specific dropped the lore that this griefer had been on her radar forever, warning that his evasion stats were fully maxed out, meaning stealth mode was mandatory right now, needing to stalk his pathing until his defense dropped for a split second, revealing he was actively running his patrol route, leaving Ji-woo completely shook, wondering why a literal ghost was doing guard duty, as Yune backed up the crazy, stating that wherever this guy walks, an insanely overpowered boss spawns in and totally wipes the map. Like who even designed, meaning this dude was essentially just the minion, clearing the lobby for the main villain. Unfortunately for them, the undead threat locked its aggro straight onto the blonde kid hiding in a corner, instantly triggering Park, screaming that a non-combatant was in the Yuna instantly blew her dash, cooldown, panicking because her movement speed was way too mid to clutch the save. But thankfully, Ji-woo had that cracked agility buff and yoinked the blonde kid right out of the blast radius, hyping Yoon up to scream massive woo while leaping into the air, swearing on her entire channel that this guy was getting permanently banned, chanting "Mark the Sin" as absolute top-tier energy stacked in her palm, spawning the King Mark, which was hoisted that chunky weapon up and completely dunked it on the zombie dude, while simultaneously ordering Ji-woo to hard, carry the blonde kid to spawn and spam the SOS button for the squad, begging her to summon the high-level, whining that her melee stats were actual garbage. But literally the exact second she spun around, the undead tank who just ate a heavy smash, lunging right back at her, forcing her to bite the bullet and enter combat mode. Except, this monster had massive brain cells, refusing to just Unga Bunga, intentionally targeting UNA's main DPS weapons, forcing Yuna to burn her jump stat to dodge, literally nosediving right into his massive bait setup. Wait, no, getting caught in that awful where the monster just straight up boxed her in the face, even though Yuna blind fired her hammer swing while totally floating in zero gravity. Her damage output got severely nerfed by the lack of leverage, while his busted healing factor meant he tanked it with zero consequences, popping his Phase 2 boss transformation, flexing these ridiculously thick dark wings, instantly grabbing Yoon-Ai's entire character model before she could even react, just absolutely ragdolling her against the nearby environment, mid-flight, violently griefing her HP bar until her stamina, with the zombie totally chokeholding her hitbox. Right as he wound up the finishing animation, Ji-woo popped out of nowhere with a massive flying knee strike, launching the freak across the lobby, leaving Yune completely shook, asking how she fast-traveled back so quickly, and where the main party was, too, which Ji-woo casually that she already pinged the server. Yuna frantically asked for the exact player count, getting the super cursed answer of just one solo carry who was supposed to spawn, leaving Yoon-hee totally paralyzed from the sheer stupidity, screaming that this was not some regular scrub enemy, since he actually popped his shroud ability, insisting they needed a minimum of 2 top-tier soul conductors or a whole squad of rank 2s, roasting our girl for bringing a single random to a raid boss, asking if she genuinely wanted to catch a game over screen right here. But even through the salt, she watched Ji-woo literally flawless, dodge, perfectly countering with a sick high kick that sent him flying back, making Eunice question if this girl had secretly been a PvP god this entire time, thinking to herself how her avatar felt crazy, literally feeling like she had a shroud buff, equipped herself, while the zombie kept spamming his auto attacks. But realizing his DPS was the creature hard disengaged to reset the neutral game, twisting his character model into this deeply cursed posture, while the enemy started zooming around our girl in rapid circles. Yoon-ha was absolutely screaming her lungs out, telling Ji-woo to watch her back. That was his broken skill. Once the purple fog cleared out, the undead mob literally vanished into thin air, facing this invisible boss. Our MC looked totally hard, stuck. She was sweating, trying to track him down. Suddenly, the creep spawned right at her back, but her gamer reflexes were absolutely cracked. Clutch parry incoming. She still got knocked back like crazy. But just as she geared up for a heavy counter, the mob popped its invisibility cooldown again. She was super tilted, guessing his spawn point. I mean, who even attacks from the flank like that? She spun around, swinging wildly, but the ghost actually hit her. Yeah, he caught her slipping on the blind spot. The monster just phased out of reality once more, making his aggro literally impossible to read. Plus those creepy little bells completely scrambled our girl's radar, right? Then some random voice started screaming out, 3 o'clock, aiming for the head, reacting. Our girl sidestepped that heavy hit. Instantly she was shook, asking her boss how on earth she tracked the invisible mob. Yoon-ha just smirked and bragged about her exclusive Shroud Mark Scholar buff. The moment she lands a hit on a target, they get permanently wall-hacked. She promised to shot call every single movement for Ji-woo, asking our MC to put her full faith in her hearing. That epic speech, Ji-woo literally just shut her eyes like a badass, waiting for the next spawn, which she was actually flabbergasted, wondering if our girl genuinely thought trusting her meant fighting totally blind, screaming at her to open her damn peep, raging about who does blindfold runs during a life or death boss fight. Asking if she had a death wish, roasting her for treating real life like a cheesy anime, calling out 6 o'clock. Ji-woo trusted the comms and styled on that dodge, instantly punishing the ghost with a massive headshot. Then, the 8 o'clock call-out dropped, and that mob got absolutely combo chained into the dirt, hyping our girl up to finish the raid. Looking down from the high ground, Tao Diuchi watched his minion getting clapped, letting out a super dramatic sigh, complaining that the new server Soul Reapers were way too try-hard and aggressive, getting up from his cozy spot, acting all cocky, saying it would suck if his precious summon got deleted, especially since he did not want to catch any aggro from his upper management, screaming at them to pause the game, interrupting Ji-woo right before her final strike. Yoon-ha frantically pinged the danger, telling our girl to kite back immediately, confirming this new challenger was the incredibly overpowered boss named Tao Diuchi. The villain just smirked like a total creep, faking humility about being called overpowered, claiming he loved the clout from the soul. Reapers asking if he could just pack up his trash mob and whining about how terrible the drop rates for invisible zombies were. Seriously, why do villains always yap so much? But before this bozo could even finish his monologue, absolutely flattened his face out of nowhere. Yoon-ha was barking at Tao Diuchi to drop the funny guy act, warning our MC to ignore his mind games, explaining that any high-level spirit with human speech is basically a serial killer, but halfway through her warning, a massive hand completely impaled right through her chest. The boss taunted her for picking a fight. She could not win. Ji-woo screamed for her mentor and rushed in, but the level gap was huge. The villain effortlessly sidestepped, her furious attack mocking her for rushing in right after her senior. Got one tap sarcastically clapping for her useless bravery, crying about how much he naturally hated sweaty tryhards, like her, openly laughing and lighting up some dark magic paper in his hand. A ridiculously massive green tornado just nuked the entire map, that deadly area of effect storm. Sliced our girl up with brutal debuffs all over her health bar. The bad guy was cackling like an absolute maniac inside the hurricane, asking if she was really still trying to clear this raid, calling her fallen teammate worthless, telling her to log out and run away, bashing the entire human race. Acting high and mighty, saying humans were selfish noobs who never cared about party members. Once the dust finally settled, he looked back totally disgusted, expecting our low-level hero to have rage quit the zone, but wait, no, plot twist, dropping right here. Ji-woo held her ground, using her own character model to body block that execution strike meant for her mentor. The boss totally lost his mind, screaming about why she did not flee, asking what the point was. Defending a deleted character, he was raging, swearing that nobody wastes their own health points for strangers anymore. Can you believe the audacity of this guy? Completely shook that Our girl kept her cool and dropped 2 hard facts on him, dropping rule number 1, that carrying your team never needs an excuse. Hitting him with rule number 2, that his player-killing actions just triggered a massive ban wave right at that exact frame. He felt an insane aura. Dude was so paralyzed he could not even touch his keyboard, focusing all his energy just trying not to alert the threat. Right when our girl dropped that heavy justice line, realizing she was not even paying attention to his villain's speech, she was She was banking everything on the absolute unit behind. Bad guy was suffocating, knowing one wrong pixel movement meant an instant game over right in front of his face. Massive, hellish fireballs just spawned out of nowhere. The Supreme Admin Yama had entered the chat casually mentioning he almost forgot about the gore warning, asking our fresh newbie. Checking if she was managing all right with pure dad energy, our girl brushed it off, crying that her team leader was bleeding out, absolutely stressing over her friend. Literally 1 frame later, the gateway to the underworld glitched into the server right in front of them, asking Lilim why she was stressing. The big boss flashed a ridiculously confident smile, claiming he had everything under control. But our girl instantly roasted. That ancient boomer started complaining, asking why this little punk kept using formal speech while they were literally beefing. Teo of Yuchi stayed totally silent, letting out a massive sigh since our boy looked incredibly mid. He figured he was actually scratched that he thought he was just overthinking things. But before that thought could even finish loading, the impact sent him flying into orbit, spitting pure red everywhere, while Yama just gave him that absolute zero death stare, telling him to stop breathing, calling those absolute psychos a massive waste of oxygen, while Tayo somehow recovered his balance. Spamming an insane amount of dark talismans, our boy smoothly sidestepped that completely cracked tornado attack, straight up, telling that clueless noob to catch fire, paying for his toxic behavior because exactly 1 second later, pure underworld flames violently crashed into the wind tunnel, twisting together way up in the sky until those spicy red visuals totally overpowered the wind, leaving Tayo dripping with nervous sweat, realizing his ghost blanket armor was completely useless and right. When he found his footing, Yama launched him into the stratosphere again, straight up into the clouds, where Tao immediately hit his 8 ultimate spirit moves, throwing a ridiculous amount of paper spells, creating these massive updrafts that pushed a literal hurricane toward Yama, though our boy looked easily dodging the garbage hitboxes, making Tao think he actually baited him, yelling at his trap to activate while squeezing his hands super tight, forcing that giant windstorm to morph into a solid bubble, completely locking our boy inside a high-pressure prison, talking big game with a negative win rate, calling his power level total trash, while Tao literally burst out laughing, promising to completely spill his internal organs, squishing all that wind energy down into one massive glowing sword, trying to slap Yama straight down the middle as that neon green edge speed ran right at his face, acting super confused about his magic blanket stats, claiming his underworld fire abilities were totally hard-locked, calling him an absolute bot. But literally 1 frame later, blazing heat erupted into the atmosphere, making Tao actually mess his pants from pure terror, complaining about this super broken passive skill, admitting that real underworld fire would be a GG, but hey, what can you even do? Explaining that he actually developed this custom fire himself, specifically programmed to burn toxic behavior. And dude, your karma level is incredibly bad. Noticing the boss getting way too buffed, gritting his teeth because his survival instincts were screaming, Tao mashed the button for his 8 ultimate skills again. Except this time around, the aggro fire. Physics totally canceled his entire combo, String leaving wondering what kind of hacked code this heat was running on, deciding to just roll out of the way, tossing a bunch of paper buffs while jumping back. But our boy had been spawn camping the sky the whole time, dropping a spicy payload right onto his forehead, exactly when Tao finally hit the ground to recover his stamina, getting instantly swarmed by a tidal wave of red heat, whining about how this absolute raid boss literally has zero cooldowns on his skills, watching the whole map get covered in lava effects, panicking that his character model was about to liquidate, seriously questioning who this hacker even was, while Yama just stared him down with zero chill, wondering why he was not a pile of dust. Chimed in to say it was purely scripted RNG, reminding him that he already traded his main blade and magic blanket to the beard. Like, seriously, who just drops legendary loot into the underworld trash bin and logs off? Did you completely and the normal server have totally different time zones, making our boy realize his massive brain fart, letting Yama actually panic for a hot second before the crazy grandpa patted his back, saying, "Chill out, bro. I already dragged the normies to the..." Literally, the wizard boy himself. And while those two were bickering over chat, the fire damage started getting nerfed, giving Tao room to wiggle out, thinking this sweaty tryhard was finally AFK. And these low-tier flames were his only opening, deciding he needed to alt F4 immediately, that this whole server was completely toxic. But Yama just squatted right in his face, keeping his mic muted while looking like an absolute sleep paralysis demon, asking where he thought he was fast traveling to, making Tao lift his totally busted character model up, crying about how he took a massive lisa, claiming he never meant to deal any damage, begging for a revive since the ghost Uber driver was still breathing, literally sobbing for admin mercy, promising to go touch grass and completely rebrand his toxic personality, which actually made Yama pause his attack animation, asking if he was dead ass right now, looking straight through those crocodile tears before dropping some deep lore about a mom who lost her kid and respawned in the underworld, saying Yama interrogated her about why she logged into this server, to which she cried about her kid getting deleted, making him push further to find the griefer, with the lady blaming the server-wide event triggered by the ruler and the massive food shortage debuff that followed, while our boy just sat there listening to her yap, secretly knowing the actual game logs. Sure, the big boss launched the PvP, but he was absolutely not the main villain, because the one who literally roasted and consumed the kid was the mom herself, proving all you trash mobs share the exact same brains. Like, are you actually kidding me right now? The second your HP gets low, you start spamming lies, wrecking anyone in your... Yet, you completely lose your mind when someone finally lands a hit on you, which sends my blood pressure to the moon, as the wooden stick in his grip started glowing, is the exact reason I coded this torture map in the first place, completely shattering Taos, reality making him choke out. Wait, did you just say... Wait. So this dude is actually the literal boss of the underworld? Our guy, Taoude Uchi, was a massive glitchy shadow dragon shrieked right at our underworld king, but Yama literally yawned at the screen and deemed this random mob way too arrogant for his own good. Seeing zero regret in the dude, he decided to permanently delete his save file by dropping the bonsai dama flame technique right on his head. That fiery aura painted the whole sky with server crashing creation energy, slicing Taudi Uchi into two completely wrecked halves. Even the totally ominous blood moon got completely washed out, but old fool just stood there, shaking his head, muttering how he had not witnessed that nasty cheat code activated in absolutely forever. You only pull out that rare attack animation for stubborn souls, refusing to apologize, basically shredding their entire karma. Getting blasted by the bonsai dama is just completely nuts, especially when you factor in the massive debuff, since Lord Yama actually passed down his legendary gear and iconic cloak to the bearded dude, yet our boy still casually drops nuke-level damage. The blessed wooden stick Yama grabbed as a substitute weapon completely atomized itself, trying to handle that raw op energy. "Alright, Boomer, let us log off for the day," Yama casually offered, after practically pulling a total all night. "Time to recharge our HP," he added, while Li Ju just stared in pure disbelief at the literal death god crashing in her. "So, you really just spawned here to take a nap?" she asked, while Yama waved her off, telling her to chill out and drop the respectful act. The girl looked absolutely heated, reminding him this was literally her turf. And she was not acting polite anyway. Our dude just flashed this goofy grin, giving her an instant migraine, since she could not bring herself to flame a guy, mailing me so innocent. I gotta ask though, why not crash at the White Ox base instead of mine? He could justify freeloading off his replacement lackey, since even he possessed a tiny sliver of moral code. Plus, we are barely even mutuals on the social ladder, Yama explained, with that forced homegirl straight up told him they needed to scout a new base for him because she actually valued her alone time and he had to bounce. I will literally act as your realtor, she offered, to which he replied that personal boundaries sounded like alien tech, but he was not trying to be toxic. The overpowered deity actually looked super awkward, promising to dip if his aura was making her cringe. So she just needed to. He was literally about to log out, but then casually mentioned he could stay and execute local griefers, which Zhao instantly vetoed with maximum panic. Wait, why not? He whined, arguing that spotting toxic players meant he was morally obligated to smash them into the ground. Bro, your insane justice system would actually break human society, she groaned, making him promise to nerf his damage output, which she still heavily doubted. Are you actually trolling me right now? She snapped, while he swore he had decent aggro control, leading her to set up a totally hypothetical test. Picture a super sick grandma just casually dropping candy wrappers on the pavement. What is your immediate counterplay? Yama looked genuinely baffled by the easy tutorial question, stating he would obviously vaporize her with absolute purgatory flames. Are you completely cooked in the head? Roasting an elderly woman like that? She screamed, calling out his total lack of respect for the boomer generation. So, hitting max level in age means you get to bypass server rules without catching a ban. Think about who actually holds the ultimate veteran status here, he flexed, adding that having a debuff does not just magically erase your penalty points. Illnesses do not grant immunity, he stated, while the old fool just watched them bicker like an old married couple, casually asking that if she needed some hydration to cool off, but she instantly spotted how incredibly sus and murky the liquid in that mug looked. Yo, where did you even loot this potion from? She asked, prompting the old boomer to brag about finding an indoor water source. Calling modern graphics highly advanced, claiming every single spawn point had a magic fountain, making her completely freeze as she imagined a glowing blue well before slowly. The horrifying realization hit her instantly, and after she frantically explained the concept of indoor plumbing, both underworld gods literally dropped straight to the floor and our OPAce looked completely shattered on the inside. So she tossed him a sealed plastic bottle, admitting she could barely carry, basically telling him to level up his real-world stats. Or she was pulling her support class healing, while a shell-shocked Yama just stared at her, retreating figure. Quit analyzing my back like that. I am strictly doing this gig for double the premium currency, she muttered, as nostalgia of a forgotten player suddenly flashed across his vision, murmuring a broken promise about re-rolling as a normal human in the next playthrough. Closing the distance to our main girl, he totally dropped the riz, asking if her true name was Lilim, leaving her entirely weirded out by the random drop. The old fool just let out a massive sigh of defeat, groaning that their boss was lagging out on his memory file, pointing out that even with zero facial recognition software, confusing a low-level human with the legendary Lilim was crazy, but our guy doubled down, swearing on his life it was her, because the emotional vibe checked out perfectly, forcing the sidekick to scream at him to touch some, yelling that the old main character was totally different, and this new girl was his current co-op partner, so he needed to at least lock her avatar design into his brain, causing her to deeply sigh over how surprisingly clutch the old dude was actually being right now. Our boy Yama was literally like, how do we know this? Fake is not Lilim, honestly though. Lilim has way better curves than this total imposter. Hearing that wild take, Liju just went back to chugging her water, while the boomer ghost started screeching loud enough to wake the dead. Absolutely unhinged behavior. Dude was basically begging the death god for a revive. Fast forward to nighttime, and our MC was fully buffed from a huge meal. He was flexing about the vibes, saying this Mortal Realm setup was way cozier than the Underworld Zero cap. Modern players really had. Our girl sat right up, acting super salty, teasing him about low-key simping for the human server, and my guy just straight up admitted it. Her cooking stats were off the charts he was obsessing over. That spicy red stew, asking if it was the legendary kimchi G guy, calling the crimson soup an absolute top-tier acting like the broth literally absorbed the souls and depression of some random dude named Kim, hyping up the meat texture so much he unironically wondered if she used actual human drops from this Kim guy to craft it, which is, wait no, thankfully impossible. Lijiu just sat there. She started speedrunning through all the chaotic events from her daily login, from randomly encountering the final boss of the underworld, to basically teleporting into hell itself to farm undead mobs, while her sunbae took some massive critical hits, taking his health straight down to the but magically auto-healed the second they crossed into the demon zone. Realizing this glitch, she got all up in his space for some answers, hitting him with a massive logic check. Do players get a full health and status cleanse just by loading into the underworld map before he could speak? Jumped in to confirm that humans get the full region buff, totally nerfing the effect for actual ghosts. Then locking eyes with she dropped the heavy question. Could she unlock an interaction with deleted accounts? Yama was visibly shook, wondering why she wanted to ping dead players, so she vented about desperately needing to see her guardian again, carrying so much guilt over failing her escort mission when they needed her most. But the annoying spirit instantly vetoed her request, calling her a noob, and reminding her that mortal accounts have serious skill tree limits, telling her to stop coping. But right mid-sentence, Yama straight up one-shot the boomer into sleep mode, making her scream out, asking why he randomly dealt damage like that. But our Dark Lord just leaned in close, offering her pitching an exclusive questline reward that nobody else could, promising that if she carried the team in, hunting down Giant Beard, he would spawn her lost loved one. She literally bounded off the walls with hype, screaming, asking if this was legit, pure zero hesitation, while sealing the deal by threatening to send him to hell if he scammed her. Why do humans even say that, considering the underworld is literally his personal base? Seeing her fully glowing made the edgelord actually crack a soft smile, mentally warning Big Beard that round 2 was approaching fast. Meanwhile, on the original body of Tao Diu Chi caught the notification that his shadow clone got deleted, feeling that raw spirit game over, man, knowing right away it was that broken soul attack, confirming without a doubt that the Death King had officially calling out to boss Big Beard, who immediately went into massive brain mode, while Tao straight up begged to take the aggro, swearing he could solo Yama himself. But mid-flex, his avatar started turning into dust, getting called a massive sweat by his boss, who cold-bloodedly roasted him for dropping the real gamer tag of the king, then immediately ordered Ox to take over the mid, realizing they needed to speedrun their master plan before Yama got his full stats back, commanding the squad to gather all available weapons. Morning finally hit. White Ox dropped a call to Geo to get the latest status update on our boy. Our girl just stared as the absolute terror of the underworld threw a massive tantrum at a tiny fluffy puppy, telling the god to chill with the yelling, while White Ox dropped lore that Yama has an auto-aggro reflex against white dogs. Since their mythos claims those dogs counter spectral units, Ox then revealed he already dropped the next quest marker telling her to ditch her shift and play full support for the Demon King today. Jiwoo relayed the entire guild chat straight to equipping him with some fresh streetwear, which had him simping over modern fabric mechanics again. They tracked the map coordinates from Ox and pulled up to a massive shopping mall. Yama whipped out a scrap note to review their target data making. Our girl's super nosy about it, noticing text printed on the flip side, joking that White Ox was totally penny pinching on stationery, asking what the sketchy document even was, and homie deadpan that it was just an everyday ledger, tracking player deletion dates, literally the master codebook of life and death. She freaked out about printing such hardcore files on scrap paper, but he just brushed it off, saying, mortals lack the decrypt. Totally irrelevant though. Right now they had to speedrun the mall level to locate an idol because their intel guy leaked that a celestial branch entity had spawned into the human server, and this cosmic being, blending right in, adapting so perfect, getting scouted out of nowhere by some agency and becoming a literal pop idol. None other than the Earth Branch Zodiac pig named Baek Dai. Meanwhile, off-screen, this pig dude was just done throwing up in the rest. Our girl, Baek Dai, getting a call from her manager, bro, was tweaking, yo. Baek Dai, are you actually brain dead? Pretty sure I told your hungry self to stop snacking on set lock-in now. Watch your self-control, Dae mumbled, about just throwing up. And this manager actually said good job with a straight face. You know, I do this because I care about you, right? But the second this guy ended the call, his face looked absolutely disgusted, bro. Literally called her a glutton, while the boss man on the other side was grinding his teeth. We absolutely cannot lose our walking ATM. These two absolute units heading out for food suddenly bumped into Dave. My bad. I am so sorry. Our girl apologized for eating earlier, then literally begged them to bring back a single rice ball. Stop stuffing your face, you pig, the heavy dude barked at her. Gotta stay skinny if you want to look good. 1 meal a day is the meta, you get it. But dude, I literally almost passed out last time, she whispered super quietly. Oh, so now we are the bad guys here? The dude was popping a blood vessel. I am so sorry, I did not mean it like that. Then this guy brought up the tutorial phase when they first met. We picked your broke self off the streets, gave you free loot and armor, all thanks to my carry. You actually live a normal life. Now, I am doing all this for your own good. Just try to get where I am coming from. Are we not family? Hearing that word, Dai lit up a literal family. Meanwhile, those two heavy dudes walking away just started clowning on her. Look at this loyal dog, so blindly obedient. Absolute negative. Baek Dae was still lost in that fake family dream. Absolute clown behavior, a voice dropped from the shadows. How can a proud Earth branch get completely bullied by some weak humans? The Thunder Emperor Yvonne spawned in. Baek Dae, go pack your inventory right now. Big Beard, Lord is summoning you. Dae was looking, completely shook Big Beard. Lord wants me? But bro, you are literally a ghost. Why would Big Beard Lord send you as a messenger anyway? He was, wait, actually. No, not right now. I need to check in with my family first. She was about to pull out her phone. Ivan was sounds like you guys actually became a family. Well, yeah. After the Big Beard Guild dropped us, these guys carried me. Who needs enemies with a fake squad? They even gave me a base to spawn at. This is my family. Ivan was fuming, hearing this. I heard you were brain dead, but I never expected your logic stats to be this low. They took care of you. Look at your 0 HP health bar. They are just farming you for XP. Wake up. Earthchild, we are your only real squad. If you actually trust these NPCs that much, let us run a vibe. Check those two massive dudes coming back from eating. We're still flexing their crazy eating stats. My bad. Are you the CEO, Lee Yudong, from that entertainment guild? Jiwoo walked up super respectfully. Next second, she got shoved away by Yama. Are you a literal pig, Lord Yama? Bro, please, you have zero manners. Yama clapped back, sounding heated. What do you mean? Take a good look at this. Greasy mug. This massive cash cow belly from any angle. This is a pig-dropping premium loot, and lucky stats making you OP? What is the problem with pigs anyway? Human logic is so cooked. Hearing this, Lee Yudong was about to rage quit, but his wife held him back. What happens if you get soft banned? Again, chill out. Having max HP and defense is a buff. Everything else spiked back in the living. Dai was staring at the bread on the table, sweating buckets seeing them walk in. She jumped right up. Oh, I need to talk to you, manager. What is wrong with your avatar? What actually happened? Did you aggro him? Lee, Yudong stayed quiet but locked eyes on the bread. What is this garbage trying to steal? Some quick heals again. Huh, you absolute glutton, CEO. Wait, no. Dad, you guys need to log out? It was just a trap. Some griefers dropped food on purpose. I cannot even explain, but trust me. Dad, instead, she tanked a massive critical slap to the face. What are you yapping about, you trash? And Dad, wait. That reaction makes total sense, bro. Cannot even control his own aggro. Spamming toxic chat instead. What kind of fake squad is this? Earth Branch, is this the low-tier run you played just to watch him turn out like this? How absolutely sad and busted. I will help you delete this boss. You will not even feel bad. Even that chick in the back. He whipped around and saw Lee Ji-woo trying to stealth away with the woman. I followed the walkthrough perfectly. What is the next quest? Yama was hard, carrying Baek Dae on his back. How are you asking such a noob question? Do you even know how to play this game? The escort. So, obviously we speed run out of here. As for that toxic trash mob in his hands, drop him. Seeing this Thunder Emperor went completely berserk. You absolute griefer, drop her now. If I catch you, I am permanently camping. Your spawn? Get over here. Yama looked at him like he was level 1. Do you think I am? Did you not just say you would camp me if you catch me? You little rat. I am going to delete your account. Yama scanned his status and found him super chill. Even though bro looked heated, he was not even slightly tilted, just looking. Our boy Yama was, wait no, he was seriously sweating this spacing game. Like if he just tucked the pig away somewhere safe, but every single hiding spot meant innocent NPCs were gonna catch stray damage. Bro was stressing trying to figure out the play while yelling at the literal. He was breaking his back, dodging backstabs while brainstorming a non-lethal AoE strat. But Ivan big-brained the situation and just pulled out a massive boulder. The villain literally said, if you keep running off the map, I am forcing the aggro, and then straight up chucked that rock at a random mom and her kid, chilling at the bottom of the mall. But thank God RNG was on our side, because Lee Ji, she totally tanked the hit by doing a combat roll to cancel the momentum, while the emergency siren she tripped earlier finally started blasting, telling all the clueless low-level civilians to get the heck. Seeing her pull that off gave our MC a massive sigh of relief. He even admitted her stats were crazier than his own, before yeeting himself off the ledge with baked dye. God tier hands were literally sparking with electric damage. The boss called him a noob for jumping, since aerial dodges are locked, but Yama just hit him with that signal. Our boy was like, yeah, my movement is restricted, but your escape routing is totally cooked too. And then he casually spawned the port, sucking the entire squad into his personal hell dimension. The old crazy dude suddenly had a ping of realization, wondering if that dude was actually the legendary Lightning Emperor, straight up Ivan, the Lightning Emperor who spawned with his magic. And lightning damage completely maxed out while everything else spiked. His dad faked being infertile to ditch, then found a new girl and rolled Ivan in the gacha, which completely pissed off the head of the clan back in the day. The clan boss slapped a massive debuff curse on him, saying this new kid was going to be a pure demon who would grief the entire server with fear, causing absolute wipes where blood would literally flood the map, leaving the whole capital permanently stuck in a blazing fire zone. All because your son is an absolute psycho. Hearing that lore drop, Yama had to hit a quick jump dash to avoid getting tagged. Like, chat, is this boomer actually getting more unhinged with age? Calling the old man straight up delusional. I heard this toxic player was so unhinged, he even attacked his pregnant wife, completely lost his mind, and started mashing buttons on Yama, screaming about how he eventually zeroed the crown prince, but his crazy meter just kept filling back up to max. Our mech was totally shook. Like, bro, literally caught a body and is out here playing the victim card. Yama cracked his knuckles, saying, a toxic tryhard, like you needs to get banned from life. But mid-sentence, a cracked yellow lightning bolt dropped. The old guy was raging about these sweaty griefers. Ignoring the dialogue cutscenes, Yama just tanked the shock damage without a word while leaking HP everywhere. But a split frame later, his face shifted into pure nightmare fuel, yelling at the old ghost. Actually, no demanding him to pass the cursed shroud item, but the boomer was gatekeep. Yama was like, bro, stop hoarding the loot. I will literally trade it back. But the ghost warned him. But while they were bickering over the inventory, another thunderstrike hit. Ivan was playing it super sweaty though, promising he would not drop his guard, pulling out that cheesy lion hunting a rabbit quote. But literally one frame later, Yama's knuckle sandwich connected flush with his dome. The speedrun mechanics were so fast, Ivan could not even reset his stance before another heavy attack combo sent him flying across the map again. He was ragdolling through the dirt for miles before the physics engine stopped him. Ivan was literally at 1 HP. You could see his soul leaving his body. I mean, who even coded this boss, realizing he had to use his ultimate right now? Better burn all his mana instantly. But Yama just stood there going AFK, which made Ivan paranoid as heck, thinking no matter how you read this situation, the boss is definitely charging up a one-hit kill, shouting at our MC asking what the delay was. But before he could even finish, straight up deleted. His face turns out our boy is petty as heck, and remembered getting his dialogue skipped earlier. So, he specifically waited for the guy to talk, just to interrupt him back. Ivan screaming that he was going to perma, ban him for trolling, but Yama just teleported right behind his hitbox, whispering, do you even know who is styling on you right now? Dropping his Hellfire skill to burn up all the guys, sins in a literal millisecond. The Lightning Emperor was fully engulfed in top-tier blazing visuals. Ivan was screeching while his face rendered pure agony. Yama just hit a massive sigh, admitting these high-level mobs are super tanky against, giving him flashbacks to that grindy boss fight against realizing his base DPS just was not cutting it without equipping the sword or the shroud. Suddenly Ivan dashed out of the fire, AoE to launch a counter, yelling at Yama that his special Inferno skill confirms he is literally the final boss of the underworld, dropping a massive rage strike right after, and literally a cracked golden lightning bolt nuke dropped from the sky, piercing massive damage straight through the underworld king's avatar. Even the boomer ghost was shook, wondering how a basic item could spawn an electric blast like that. Ivan was laughing, his absolute lungs out, asking how our boy felt right now, saying his entire pixel count was getting deep fried, flexing that even a demon lord gets hard, countered by electric magic. But plot twist, our boy just flashed a devious little grin asking if that tickle was actually his ultimate. The ghost narrator dropped in to explain that while electricity is a super op, elemental attack against undead mobs, it basically did 0 damage against Lord Yama. Our boy Yama is literally at 1 HP right now, but these scrubs still cannot land a single hit on him. The Thunder Emperor Ivan completely lost his marbles, seeing this spamming his lightning ultimate, while screaming at the boss to just roll over and die. But all that high voltage spam felt basically like a premium spa treatment to our guy. Want to know his secret? Homie literally has zero fear of the elect. He built up max resistance because his previous manager was an absolute menace who loved to zap his employees on the daily. He told the Jade Emperor to drop a massive thunderstrike just to flex, but when the big guy ghosted him, Yama just started roasting that chunky boomer. Literally a millisecond later, a colossal bolt absolutely cooked their avatars. While out in the real world, our boy Jiwoo had already speedrun the entire mall mob clear. The White Ox dropped a massive 5-star review for Jiwoo and his crazy stats, but our MC humbly tossed the credit right back like an absolute Chad. Nobody expected his fast travel mechanics to be that insane, so the Ox asked if he spotted the pig. NPC, to which Jiwoo confirmed the encounter. He actually tried to squat up with her multiple times, but she kept dodging the party invite by dragging her toxic clan into the chat. Homie was genuinely completely shook, because keeping toxic players like that in your circle, she basically mistook total griefers for her actual flesh and blood. But honestly, we should not sweat it too much, because the head honcho, Yama, will absolutely permanently ban those scumbags. Though nobody realized that idiot Yudong was currently bricking his pants down in the underworld lobby. The dead dude literally tossed him out of aggro range, so he could scurry away like a rat, because one more tick of that Hellfire debuff would have turned him into crispy bacon. Reduced to absolute pixels, he spun around and caught Bayek Dae chilling nearby, immediately barking at her to leak the server intel. Looking at the poor girl, he was losing his mind, and when she called him, her father the bozo completely snapped and told her to drop the— He straight up called her annoying, mocking her stutter like a complete low-tier bully, while screaming at her to just spit out the facts, like demanding to know if this whole cursed raid happened because of her, while aggressively whining about getting dragged into this nightmare zone. Blaming her for ruining his run, he ordered her to join the enemy faction, so he could log out loudly, declaring she was never his actual kin. Anyway, literally, the next frame, the Jade Emperor completely nuked the Thunder guy from orbit, so that annoying mini-boss is officially deleted from the code. Yama casually strolled over to our girl, Dehai genuinely confused by her passive playstyle, wondering why she was letting this trash pig treat her like this, but that loser Yudong suddenly grabbed her by the neck and yelled at the death god to stay back, threatening to one-tap her if they pushed his zone, bragging that they needed her alive, which basically left Yama looking at him like he was completely unable to process why she let mortals walk all over her, until the girl finally unmuted her mic to greet the underboss after eons, asking what went wrong in her playthrough and offering a hard carry, while the hostage taker realized his bluff had absolutely zero riz. So he immediately switched to a beggar class, offering to trade her life for a free pass to the exit, while barking orders at her one last time, claiming he held her controller and could make her join their guild, instantly crying actual tears for a safe warp out of the dungeon, trying to pitch it as a win-win scenario. But even the ghost mob was completely disgusted. Like, did this scrub really think his dialogue were infinite just because he had vocal cords? I'm telling him to delete his toxic messages right now. But Big Beard was fully prepared to throw hands until someone yelled at him to drop, doubling down on his hostage strat, claiming she was his only ticket, boasting that she would literally hit the self-destruct button if he commanded it, which made the veteran snap, asking what kind of glitching garbage just left his mouth. The sheer boss aura leaking from the old man was absolutely suffocating, and right as he was about to permaban that idiot from the server, our Dark Lord hit the pause button, walking over to give the traumatized girl some gentle head pats, while dropping a cold reaction, reminding the lobby that saving the targeted player comes first, ordering the squishy human to back off so he could chat with her. But as the guy tried to confirm his extraction point, the Grim Reaper grabbed him by the collar, threatening to squeeze his vocal cords into literal torch fuel to light up the Shadow Realm if he made another sound. That terrifying demonic audio completely paralyzed the loser, leaving him shivering like a newborn noob before getting chucked across, sliding smoothly over to the shattered girl. He dropped the most heartwarming question, ever asking if she wanted a real squad, which sobbing about how the underworld has zero family mechanics, crying that she was just super jealous, watching the mortal player, admitting she thought she had finally spawned into a loving clan, calling herself totally brainwashed, and crying that whispering the ultimate proposal. Our boy asked if she wanted to hit the respawn button together and literally load into the next life as true relative. She was completely shook by the offer, glitching out, trying to process the idea of holding hands and hitting the new game plus mode, guaranteeing that this method would lock them in as top-tier blood relatives, permanently throwing in a casual flex about giving her a minute to check the dialogue tree. But she was already bawling her eyes out, asking if the devs actually allowed that to, which he promised the deal was totally, swearing to grind her stats and become super strong to thank him, prompting our goat to happily accept her into the guild, and literally 1 second later, so our girl Beck Daye completely unlocked her earthly branch form, radiating this crazy blood-red aura everywhere. She totally ditched her old connection with Big Beard, linking her fate straight to Yama instead, and bro, this Crimson God energy just flooded the zone like a glitched tsunami. Yvonne was shook to his core, suddenly remembering what Big Beard warned him about, right before Lord Yama got his admin privileges back. Grab those earthly branch users and drag them. Seeing Daehee literally become the ultimate summon for Yama, right in front of him, made Yvonne realize, wait, was this the exact bad ending? Big Beard was Our boy Yvonne decided to simp for Big Beard, one last time, charging up a massive electric AoE attack in his palm, screaming at Yama that they were both taking a one-way. The Thunder Emperor went all in, pushing his DPS to the absolute limit against Yama. But hold up, let us rewind right when those two linked their destiny cables together, our girl instantly leveled up by leeching off Yama and his god tier stats. While our boy Yama looted her exclusive Shadow Shroud ability, and that Shroud skill is basically a massive hungry shadow doggo unhinging its glowing red jaws. The second Yama casually flicked his wrist, bro got instantly swallowed by the void, realizing too late that speaking the boss name was an instant aggro trigger. It finally clicked why Big Beard told him to keep his mouth shut, right as the shadow monster chewed Ivan up like a cheap snack before Yama hollered at the crazy boomer. Guessing this dude we just gulped down was one of Big Beard and his little minions. Once my pet finishes digesting his HP bar, I am shipping his soul straight to the underworld. Crack his files and data mine everything he knows, because that neckbeard is definitely cooking up some sus villain scheme. Next, he rolled up on the shivering Liudon, telling the filthy casual his queue time was over right before Yama grabbed his skull and hoisted him up like a claw machine prize. Liudon started pathetically begging for a mic to chat with Daehee, pleading for just one more respawn ticket, but our boy Yama was not having it, tossing him to the curb like yesterday trash, as the dude started spamming the chat with how badly he griefed her all season, whining that his karma meter was about to permanently ban his account if things kept going. The guy literally started kissing the floor in panic, swearing he would uninstall his toxic behavior and never lay a finger on her again. She just hit him with the most gentle gaze ever, turning to Lord Yama and basically saying she was gonna let his ban, mentioning that he did carry her through a tough raid once, which made Liudon absolutely lose his mind with hype, asking if she was actually. The dude legit hugged Yama by the ankles like a total weirdo, screaming that the admin heard her clear his debt and approve his pardon. But our boy dropped the coldest glare known to mankind, flat out stating that the math was not mathing for. Like, why was this bozo celebrating a simple pass, making the dude stutter out that getting off the hook obviously means dodging the permaban and dodging jail time completely, which Yama instantly called out as absolute brain rot, locking eyes with him. And like, does your toxic gameplay just vanish if apologizing works like a cheat code? Then griefers will only target the nice players forever, and honestly, your mortal. I could not care less about your flawed logic. I am laying down the ban hammer on this zero skill behavior because the Supreme mod keeps receipts of every single twos violation you committed. Yama straight up spawned a blazing inferno in his palm, declaring himself the final boss of punishing noobs, his voice dripping with pure unfiltered, handing out damage that sliced deeper than a critical hit, telling the dude he was about to speedrun a barbed wire mountain. But wait, your hands and feet are permanently nerfed for this run, meaning zero climbing gear, allowed you are stuck gripping the wall until every single fingernail is snapped off completely. And I am morphing your avatar into a literal wax stick, burning right at the lobby entrance. So, Yama fully deleted that griefer from the server, popping back out to find our girl chilling in the waiting room, playfully teasing him about his terrible loading screen times, asking if the whole trash mob situation got handled, and Yama just gave this goofy little grin confirming the quest was complete, making her squint at his totally, reaching right into her inventory pouch and randomly aggressively feeding our boy a piping hot fish pastry, hyping up the street food drop, flexing that the white ox lady helped her skip the queue, knowing his stamina bar was flashing red, so she grabbed some premium consumables, telling Lord Yama his grind session was finally over and it was time to log off, flashing this absolute god tier smile against the golden hour lighting. But meanwhile, back at the main clan base, the white-haired admin was leaking the latest patch notes, dropping pins on 5 major spawn points across the map, where undead NPCs just randomly popped up out of nowhere, pointing out the crazy RNG fact that every single zone, spilling the tea that these zombies were 100% on Big Beard payroll, which got the White Ox player heavily theorizing, wondering why Big Beard was hoarding the earthly branch users like rare Pokemon, especially since they used to run in the same guild. So why go full aggro when it is just wasting resources? The timing is mad sus too. The undead faction only started griefing the map right after Lord Yama dropped into the Like, is Big Beard actually sweating bullets because some hidden boss is applying insane pressure on him, making him scramble to build this ultimate earthly branch, meta build to counter it, but mid-thought, her radar pinged a massive anomaly. Was he about to force the server into a Dark Age event? They could never agree to prompting her to speedrun, writing a massive intel drop on a piece of paper, slapping the encrypted notes right into white hair, hands giving her a priority. One quest to deliver the files to Yama before adding a secret side mission on top. Leaning in close, she dropped some crazy heavy lore in his ear, saying her actual life was on the line here, literally betting all her chips on him. She shoved white hair away, telling him to speed run out of there since the Sword Emperor just rolled up with a whole squad of zombies, so you probably already know what the main quest is here. Let us bounce since Lord Big Beard is pinging the server for a meeting, but our guy White Ox stepped up, trying to stall the timer. Like, why would the bearded boss even wondering if there was some hidden patch notes, because Beard Guy used to be chill. But the other Ox was completely out of $0 to give just casually directly at White Ox until his HP hit 0 in like 2 frames, telling him his dialogues, reminding him this was not a visual novel. Outside, Whitehair was literally shaking, seeing that brutal combo drop, and was wondering if he should just tactical retreat to finish the side quest. White Ox gave him, so he actually hit the dash button, even though the enemy Ox clearly spotted his stealth, but the dude just let him walk, totally ignoring the low-level noob, saying, "Hey Lisa, let us go track down the next earthly branch," as this Super Seuss monk walked up asking Lord Ox if his humble self could just log back into their party a little later, asking the monk if he was seriously going off to solo farm for his own twisted entertainment, questioning why he was so obsessed with griefing normal human play. Guy just gave this creepy little smirk before dipping out, but Ox dropped a massive warning, saying he better keep one lore detail in his head, that if he aggroes Lord Yama under 0 circumstances, should he try to boss fight him and just instantly alt-F. Just giggled, like, obviously bro, fast forward to the server. Reset the next morning, Ligia was shaking Yama awake because the Soul Driver home base randomly got totally swarmed by a zombie raid packed with dead guys rocking those shroud skins, and they had completely spawned trapped the whole HQ area. Our MC was looking shook, wondering, wait, do we not literally have a whole guild dedicated to catching these dead mobs? How did they even bypass the fire? Honestly, even though us Soul Ferrymen are basically the server admins getting paid by the dev team to round up these undead hackers, a max-level veteran can still only tank about 3 basic zombie mobs at a time. And if we are talking about the heavy hitters from the underworld, it has been brutally hard to survive without having a shroud equipped. So basically the base stats of the dead completely outscale normal human players, and an undead rocking a shroud will always mop the floor with a human wearing one. Except for Lord Yama, who is totally busted and sitting at the top of the meta. Those geared up zombies are literally called Celestials. Jumping ahead a bit, they fast traveled to the drop zone only to find the map completely wiped into a barren wasteland. Our boy hyped them up, saying, "Look, I got the shroud buff now, so whether it is Celestials or regular scrubs, I am going to full clear this done." The crazy boomer actually broke out of the underworld, and after sweating him down in the interrogation room, the dude totally leaked all the server lore he had. But the punchline is, his brain was completely empty of useful data. The one confirmed fact was that a chunk of Lord Yama's own guild members actually defected, jumping ship to join Big Beard's crew. Hearing that insane betrayal, Yama just sighed, feeling totally nerfed, like thinking Ox might not actually be a villain, as long as the ERNG did not roll those 2 specific guys. So he told Jiwoo to ping home base immediately, to drop a message in the chat that 2 heavy carry players are dropping in from their current spawn point straight to the zombie aggros, saying he was going to literally speedrun the gap while cutting away to the real world. Broadcast the News was dropping a massive update, that players locked in the mental health wards for anxiety, all just randomly synced up to demand a mass lobby exit, and this logout wave was totally crashing the servers nationwide. The wild part was, most of these guys spawned in during the year of the pig, which had the whole comment section going crazy, so Professor Kim hopped on stream to drop some lore about the explaining it is basically an ancient sorting algorithm, breaking down player spawn years using 12 different animals and taking a deep dive into the whole. You got the 12 main spirit beasts featuring the rat, the ox, the pig, and the rest of the roster. So if your account was created in the rat cycle, you get the rat main tag, or if you dropped during the rooster patch, you are a rooster main, right? Even though the whole and Zodiac meta was basically just seen as boomer mythology lately, a ton of have been glitching into reality, like the pig mains suddenly taking massive psychological debuffs, while the sheep roster players are literally abandoning the meta to grind religious factions, and insane PK events involving the snake cycle users are popping off non-stop, so clearly. Some background code is totally hacking the human player base. I've pivoted right back to streaming the live raid where those zombie mobs were absolutely griefing the Soul Driver headquarters. The death counter was just skyrocketing into the red while everything else spiked, even with the premium shroud. Equipped drivers, but honestly, the casuals getting wiped this time had a totally different vibe from the older runs. It felt way more like a coordinated strike, with a massive chunk of Celestials mixed into the mob pool, leaving them basically AFK praying for the high, because if that scuffed temporary firewall actually crashes, the server wipe would be completely catastrophic. But wait, at that exact frame, defense line was already shattered to pixels, since the zombie spawn rate was completely broken, while that soup monk was literally playing commander, leading thousands of those dead guys into the breach, spamming his weird Amitabha, Avalokiteshvara, Bodhisattva, voice lines turning the whole zone into a literal blender for any poor y'all hiding some secret lore. The twin Soul Reapers traded completely, sweat-drenched glances, basically holding back info that Super Seuss Monk literally muted himself, giving this casual little hand wave. An absolute mob of zombies rushed their position, so our frontline Reapers instantly popped beam their defensive skills trying to tank the wave, making sure the NPCs got out safe. Our blue-haired boy was absolutely sweating, trying to clear out these undead mobs. Dude figured camping for backup was the winning strat, but right then his homie dropped to 1 HP, meaning he had to rush in for the desperate save. Those Grim Reapers were feeling the absolute panic of getting massively flanked by the zombie horde. If this terrible they were fully cooked. Right then his bro pinged that extra players were dropping in hype. Wait, how many though? Literally just a duo. Bro, stop trolling. But before he could even finish raging, that creepy monk just teleported right behind his back. Looks like the admins perma banned you. Our Reaper was literally shaking in his boots, his raw gamer instincts, screaming that this boss monster was way too OP. One slight misclick meant an instant game over. That super freaky monk started yapping at 0.5, spawning with 0 loot and logging off with 0 loot. And why is this server so brutally short-lived? Noticing our Reaper was way too shook to even drop a voice line, he goes, "Chill out, bro. No need to sweat it. Just want to have a quick little chat. Did y'all realize we already locked up the white bull lady, the Reaper guy? Got massively more panicked hearing that. Why would they kidnap her? Whatever that lore drop does not matter right now. The real tea is that when we went to bag the bull lady, she started spitting some totally mid-backstory. About her old days I'm calling cap because a high IQ boss like her would not just randomly stall with unskippable dialogue. She was definitely dragging the timer, so the kid chilling behind her could bolt. I literally scoured the entire map but could not spot his hitbox anywhere. Mad confusing. Honestly, bro, has got to be stealthing inside the boom or blending with the sick toddlers. Let's push that zone. If our bounty is not there, we will literally just quietly log off. I was totally a holy man in my past. Playthrough never forgot how top tier staying alive feels, so just let me pass. I'm not gonna grief anyone's playthrough. Seeing this crazy interaction, the whole lobby paused, totally clueless on what this zombie was actually plotting. Our white-haired boy, camping in the back, felt his pulse maxing out. These sweaty tryhards really tracked my location all the way here. Right as he was debating leaking his own IPGWoo, just randomly spawned in and gave him a tap, while the Reaper dude started aggressively trash-talking back. For a guy heavily role-playing as someone who respects the player base, why does your entire avatar reek of crusty old blood? Do not let his toxic yapping trick you guys. Bro is just farming our reactions for fun. Hearing that massive call-out, The freaky monk started giggling like a psycho, grabbing the brown-haired reaper by the collar. Stupid mortals, completely blind to their own 0 HP bars, still furiously button-mashing in pure panic. Watching you losers gives me an absolute dopamine rush like a fresh level, trying to parry a literal nuke. This content is way too entertaining. He was totally losing his mind, swinging that huge weapon load in with 0 items and wipe with nothing. But right at the clutch second, a massive blast of fire countered his heavy attack, completely knocking away his staff, dark red hellish flames, completely swallowing up a dude. Been a hot minute since we crossed paths. Lord Yama, way back in the classic era when Yama ruled the server. One of his absolute top 12 lieutenants, the creepy monk named Standing Bull back when he was just a regular mortal. Dude, literally solo, queued to hunt down this massive tiger that kidnapped a tiny... The moment he spotted the kid's looted body, Standing Bull hit max, rage mode, instantly tearing the beast apart with bare hands. Our once globally ranked Giga Chad Standing Bull scored massive respect points from Yama to secure a spot in his guild. The old geezer was totally shook by the reveal. Never in a million years did I think that would end up doing side quests for the Great Beard faction too. Yama's whole aura went completely toxic. Standing Bull, why the heck are you crashing my zone? The guy just looking pretty well rendered after being AFK for logging off for good really suits. You still got absolutely 0 chill though. Your base stats have not changed. Did you manage to track down the limitless drop yet? Yama's expression literally turned into a horror game. Bro, I am just baiting you. Standing Bull was cackling like an absolute supervillain. Genuinely so hyped to bump into you. Did not realize those underworld AoE fire attacks still deal completely busted damage. The old fool was straight up You are getting way too cocky. Trash talking Lord Yama right now? Well, since our factions are officially permanently aggroed, Standing Bull dropped his voice to a creep. Let me just verify one little mechanic with you. Lord Yama, are you actually gonna... You are literally hallucinating. Yama cracked his knuckles super loud. I am about to hand you a massive lel, then physically launch you straight into the Shadow Realm. Every single piece of server history. You know? Now that sounds exactly like your classic toxic playstyle Standing Bull, deadpanned, but you are literally a single second later, he hoisted his weapon at the sky squad. Listen up, chat. The literal ruler of the underworld just dropped in, his stats are scaling crazy. If we let bro cook, the whole server balance gets absolutely cooked. Massive beard guy knows our boy is currently at his lowest level. We either speedrun his defeat right now, or we wipe completely. So, I am officially launching the Grand Boss raid to cancel Yama completely. If you catch an L out here, just enjoy the afterlife. Literally, right after that, a massive wave of shrouded zombies completely boxed in the standing, flexing that pure killer aura. Our MC scoped the battlefield and immediately barked at Jiwoo to get the NPCs out of the hazard zone. There are way too many mob enemies spawn. I am throwing down too. Yama flexed, honestly. Catching bodies is fun, but I am putting the entire noob escort mission on your shoulders and you boomer grab your gear and back up. Jiwoo, honestly bro, without a full squad, can you actually solo this? Our boy just flashed that absolute alpha Riz smirk as an answer. This dude is still on his same toxic grind. Send him to the lobby. The undead swarm. Sky Warriors diving bomb straight for his neck. Yama did not even sweat a single drop. Dei actually wanted to pop his ultimate shroud ability, but our meek way too huge, totally busted AoE. If the regular players spot a monstrous beast, they will just rage, quit from terror, right after that dealing with the incoming aggro. Our boy literally sidestepped that junk like it was nothing, tanking a huge blast before teleporting behind the zombie and stomping his face straight into the dirt. Without giving him a microsecond to heal, the Sky Squad aggressively spammed their attacks again. Pure easy mode. Yama took casually tossing out underworld flames to push the trash mobs back. These heavenly dudes felt like an endless glitching horde. Our dude's hellish blaze was currently stacking with a crazy life-draining passive buff. Just getting clipped by it meant your HP hit 0 instantly. A massive blazing nuke was rushing straight at Standing Ox, but some sky guy popped his shroud shield to tank the hit. The damage with the dark rope? Rachasa Standing Ox also triggered his own shroud mechanic, which actually threw our boy off his rhythm for a sec. This mid-tier fire damage is doing literally 0 DPS right now. I have to craft some totally new attack combos. Wait, the exact millisecond he tried to parry? Wait, no. His own arm was completely lagging and frozen. Bruh, it has been straight up ages since I saw his kit. I totally forgot about the specific crowd control debuff of Standing Ox and that dark rope Rachasa. The shroud alone literally alters the user completely, disabling their own limbs from triggering actions at the exact same time. The exact same hitbox area on the enemy gets perfectly frozen too. This specific skill is so insanely broken as the timer ticks down the locked, hexed body parts just keep stacking up. Yama was literally one hand defending, while desperately trying to theory craft a quick counterplay. He absolutely deleted a Sky Warrior with a hellish strike, instantly looting his legendary sword, drop in the process. What an insanely Lai Jiwoo, acting as the ultimate tank for the fleeing NPCs, kept watching massive nukes pop off everywhere. You could literally see the panic starting to crack his chill vibe. Is Lord Yama actually going to survive this raid? The chaotic boomer just told him to stop sweating the small stuff, even though the big boss. Yama acts like a total bot, sometimes without the messy blind boomer holding his hand. You seriously do not have the rank to stress over him. Jiwoo actually felt his anxiety drop a tiny bit. Honestly, even if the boss looks like he is styling on them, Lord Yama totally knows. My base level NPCs without a shroud equip are basically dead weight in this tier jumping. The white-haired dude was super stressed, asking where Yama was hiding. I literally need to slide. Lord Yama, some vital intel. But before he could even finish his dialogue, a Sky dropped absolute aggro. Huge warning, check your 6. Thank RNG that Jiwoo dashed in and completely shoved him out of the hitbox. A massive chaotic blast wiped the ground. The zombie attacker was straight up shook. That audio cue did not sound like someone taking knockback damage. It turns out our white hair triggered his veil to spawn a heavy blue deflector shield to eat the incoming DPS, catching Jiwoo's completely baffled reaction. He dropped the lore that the White Ox Queen strictly ordered him to keep his gamer tag hidden, just like her royal self. I am actually grinding support for the Driver's Guild lady. I am basically the loyal pet for the earthly branch, Bayek Hyosiu. But right after tanking that ultimate skill, his stamina broke and he face planted into the dirt. Back the heck up. Jiwoo, the unhinged boomer, blocked his path. You are claiming the Bayek Hyosiu tag? Are you seriously a verified earthly branch member? Bayek Hyosiu was fighting for his life, deflecting strikes while literally he defended himself, saying, I only joined the server after Yama logged off. Literally a microsecond later, his entire defensive barrier shattered into pixel dust. Lee Jiwoo instantly yanked him out of the death zone. The crazy boomer was just stun-locked. Like, how are you genuinely an earthly branch? Just catching a basic auto attack leaves you bleeding out on the floor. Bayek Hyosiu dropped the bombshell that the current earthly guild is basically nerfed to standard NPC level because Massive Beard completely revoked that they are permanently locked out of equipping shrouds. Now, the boomer hit peak rage mode. That toxic leader literally threw his entire squad under the bus. So, your buffs go standing? Ox Yama pressed him, dropping all jokes. I totally scanned. Massive Beard's energy signature. Did he actually rage? Quit on his own. Earthly branches hit the floor right now. If you want to, I'm still gonna hand out a punishment so brutal you'll wish you were never born. Moodox was absolutely shook. Bro, thought he could make him tap out? Nah, I'm catching bodies either way. Just admit it. Hearing that, Oxhead just started busting up laughing. You're not wrong, bro. You don't do the whole forgiveness thing, which just means you gotta get packed up right here, right now. And with that, the Black Roper Rakshasas fired up again this time, putting a crazy debuff on. Yama's right eye and a whole mob of Celestials thought this was their opening to rush him. But our boy just swung his blade like a raid boss, straight up dicing them into pixels. Watching these scrubs swarm him, he casually flipped his grip, burying that sword deep into some random undead dude, and literally just let go of his weapon. The horde tried to speedrun him right then, but got met with hands rated E for everyone. Bro busted out the Hellfire counter. That sword was spinning in the air, coated in pure demonic RNG. And after just raining absolute combos, every single mob in the area got wiped. So tossing the sword up actually looked like a fat nerf. But the second those zombies took the bait, he double jumped to snatch his weapon back, dripping in crimson hellfire, and this furious Yama went total try-hard mode, gripping it tight and spamming a flawless AoE attack, literally pureeing the whole squad of zombies in less than a second. All those elite Celestials got turned into unidentifiable loot drops. and seeing his entire squad get deleted without a single bone left behind, finally realized he was absolutely cooked. Meanwhile, Jiwoo was out here playing dodgeball for his life against the Celestials. 0 mana left to even throw a punch, and their attack patterns were completely cracked, so Jiwoo was just praying to the movement gods, but still managed to catch some wild strays. These dudes were spamming moves without even a cooldown phase. Baek Ha-O-Siu was panicking, like old fool is there, literally anything I can do to help. But the old man stayed, AFK, saying, nah bro, just camp here. Which obviously had Baek sweating bullets, because this undead boss was stupid OP. Like, are we really just gonna spectate until Jiwoo gets up, or a miracle drops? I'm literally not helping him. Old fool deadass looked him in the eye. Like, why did you think I was a support main? I could care less if these humans get packed up. Plus, that guy has always been mid to me. Unless Lord Yama specifically gives me a quest, I'm staying out of the drama. Baek was mind blown, like, old fool, what are you even cooking right now? You want me to just watch them get deleted, honestly? Yeah, that's the play. Good riddance, honestly, old fool said without blinking. But before Baek could even process that toxic chat, a literal backstab of spikes came out of nowhere, and Jiwoo just threw his own HP bar on the line to tank the hit, while the undead dude just smirked like a total villain, flexing hard, like I wasn't even aiming for you, bro. Didn't think you would actually play Meat Shield, but catching him off guard. Our green-haired Reaper homie launched into the air to 1v1. This guy only to get instantly parried straight into the dirt. Guess his build was way too squishy, bro. Was like, alright, I'll try not to fully clip you guys. Baek Haosu was low-key screaming like, why would you blindly aggro like that, Jiwoo? Are you actually okay? Well, bro, I don't have defensive gear. So, tanking it was my only strat. Just please go rally up the NPCs who managed to run away. Someone's definitely gonna need a hard carry right now. My stats are completely trash. Old fool. Are you seriously just gonna watch this stream? Jiwoo is about to get a game, but the boomer stayed icy, and Jiwoo tried to hype him up. Like, bro, trust the process. You've got the buff to protect the squad. Go play defense for the lobby. Lord Haosu, I'm betting all my coins on you. And Haosu just stared back, then glanced at the old fool like you're literally stronger than the admins here, whipping out his own shroud and passing it to Jiwoo. Just make sure you drop it back in my inventory later, which made the old man pull this insanely arrogant smirk. Meanwhile, back at the main event, Aniclimax head was sweating bullets watching Yama slow walk toward him. Like I knew his tier list ranking was high, but I didn't expect his damage output to be this broken. I've been stuck as Lord Yama's NPC for 2,600 years, which sounds like an insane grind, but honestly it's a joke. I've literally never even seen the boss's actual face. But I guess that makes sense since he always treated us like pure fodder. One single emote or voice line from him, and the whole server would bow down, but now the math is finally mathing. Why, none of these randoms even recognize Lord Yama. I mean, obviously since most of the low-level sinners would just faceplant the floor the second he spawned, and literally zero chance to do anything, not even a split second to look up at him. And thinking about that had Oxhead vibrating with pure terror, but he still started cracking up while Yama deadpanned. Your entire guild just got wiped, and you're dropping laughing emojis. Honestly, I'm giggling because this whole run is so bro just picked up a literal starter sword and got an insane buff, and with that Oxhead ripped off his defensive gear, since these trash strats clearly aren't passing the vibe. Check I'm popping my own ultimate plus, the one Lord Big Beard gave me, and as Oxhead hit his war cry, this crazy neon blue glow just spawned out of nowhere, bringing out the black rope. Literally the ultimate timeout corner for top tier villains just dropped without a sound, making it one of the 8 mega boss dungeons. Lord Yama literally coded this server himself to hardlock the absolute worst toxic players and straight up griefers. And now this absolute clown standing Ox is flexing this exact admin tool with 0 riz against his old boss. The literal bro really told Yama to cry about it. Actually, no. He swung that dark whip like a total tryhard before our boy Yama reacted. He literally parried that shadow strike with his sword, but the attack had heavy buffs from Big Beard, making it totally cracked. Yama was straight up struggling to tank the hit. That heavy metal clash definitely nerfed the King of Hell and gave standing Ox the perfect window to spam his heavy attacks. Yama hit him back, but his starter weapon literally snapped in half. Major rip. Dude was like, you really think that broken twig is gonna save you shifting into full Ox mode and charging his ultimate ability? To completely wipe Yama out, that strike was so ridiculously OP. It literally vaporized the giant boulders, turning the map to... He basically spammed shadow tethers from every single angle imaginable, flexing that his raw damage output, max level skills, and pure momentum were completely on his side. Standing Ox was acting totally sus and smug, while Yama tried backstabbing him. Bro just rap hugged him with a massive dark cable and yeeted him across the arena, causing a huge nuke to go off. Lord Yama, bro was literally asking him, how does welcome to Big Beard's completely patched black rope dimension? Bro really thought he could mod the server without checking the terms. Messing with the official ban zone for top-tier crooks is wild. Suddenly through the thick fog, Yama's hardcore boss voice totally echoed out. I'm pulling the plug on your little power trip right now. Standing Ox hand over the admin keys, because your mid-skills don't deserve them. Meanwhile, Baekhyosoo just tossed his holy drip straight over to Lee Ji-woo, saying that Boomer Lord is totally useless and literally camping for your game over. My cloak has maxed out defense stats that you desperately need, our girl. Just deadpan stared at the crazy old man, waiting for him to speak up. Seems like bro entirely missed the memo and is just trolling again. But right then, a massive shockwave absolutely detonated in the background. That green-haired NPC ferryman was straight up out of HP. He yelled at them to dash away while the undead mob basically aimed at Lee Ji-woo, looking super toxic. Like, why are you dodging my lobby? I honestly vibe with noobs like you, so stick around and queue up for a match. Ji-woo noticed the green-haired dude was literally on 1 HP, so she equipped the legendary cloak and just rushed straight into the poison spikes. Soon as the blast fog vanished, this blinding white beam totally laser beamed. The sky, radiating pure broken energy, the old boomer was absolutely shook to his core. Baekhyosoo's sacred drip was shining like crazy, and he admitted he thought it would be a decent buff for our girl Ji-woo, but he definitely did not predict her defense and agility maxing out. Is honestly doing way too much, bro. Was mildly sweating. Seeing her equip the holy armor, but he coped by thinking it wouldn't change his winning screen. Claiming she was still just a basic level 1, Mortal spamming his toxic needles straight at her while laughing that her weak force field stood zero chance against his heavy DPS. But literally a frame later, when our MX simply swiped her hand, a massive wave of broken barrier pixels auto-aimed and perfectly tanked every single incoming projectile, handling the tech so casually that both those sideline watchers were left completely stunned. Wait a minute, did your legendary cloak always have that insane... Baekhyosoo was like, nah bro, I'm literally watching this busted mechanic for the exact first time myself, throwing up. The standard shield is basically easy mode tutorial stuff, but shattering it into micro fragments like that is literally a grandmaster level exploit. It's literally like trying to manually program every single muscle fiber just to bend your thumb. Straight up unplayable odds. But right as he was wrapping up his nerd rant, Ji-woo casually redirected the enemy spikes to protect him, saying, my bad lord, Haosu. Please forgive the lag. This is literally my first speedrun using this build, so my mechanics are totally cooked right now. Then in a flash she launched skyward, totally breaking his ankles with crazy movement, completely stomping her boot right onto the zombie villain's face, making Baekhyosoo question if she was secretly hacking you. Seriously think a non-premium user can block my path, the boss started button, mashing. But Lee Ji-woo just tanked the hits, holding her pixel swarm and rushed in like a madman. Zero hesitation as her microblades instantly the dead dude's entire hitbox. OMG, I actually clutched it, senior. Our girl was literally triggering a massive flashback cutscene right at golden hour, where her older bro straight up asked her if her save file was still completely corrupted with zero memories. Ji-woo was looking super confused, like such an emotionally drained NPC senior. And he was just like, bro, I'm totally over management and honestly about to stage a whole server coup. But right then, Ji-woo just perfectly flicked him on the forehead. Yo, chill kid. Your melee stats are actually no joke. Stop giving me that sassy side eye. It is highly annoying. Seriously, what rule? The girl totally deadpanned her response, basically telling the guild leader that having high tier clout means you gotta act like. Dropping doomer comments is an absolute ban offense when you are top of the leaderboard. So watch your mouth. The veteran player backed down fast, reminding Ji-woo to drop the formal titles and just call her auntie off stream. Boomers really do be stressing. She complained that nobody respects the daily grind anymore, before reminding everyone not to throw the upcoming. Dodging damage was the priority, but back in the real-time fight, Our girl Ji-woo was literally bending glass shards to parry hits, closing the gap on that zombie boss like a speedrunner. Yama's previous dialogue option about unlocking the underworld lobby was echoing in her mind, fueling her crazy drive to reunite with her mentor. A massive area of effects attack made of crystal projectiles erupted right out of her character model. Ji-woo surfed those floating shards like a glitchy hoverboard without even touching the ground. I mean, who needs physics, right? And that his HP bar was about to vanish, with an infinite barrage of glass pressing against his spine, while our main girl charged up her ultimate attack. Dropping her full stamina bar into one glowing neon blue roundhouse kick, she perfectly synced her melee strike with 10,000 shards raining down, turning the boss into a literal slice of Swiss cheese. Her signature meteor strike completely deleted the guy's physical form. She instantly chained another brutal heavy attack, calling down an orbital strike of sapphire energy. The corpse was yeeted 10,000 meters straight down, and Ji-woo just casually wiped her brow, post-detonation. She flexed that the encounter was basically on baby mode. Meanwhile, over in the black rope punishment zone, Yama was giving off pure final boss energy, while literally holding dirty. That Minotaur guy standing ox just started spamming, laughing emotes, mocking Yama for talking tough when his account has been inactive for 300 years. He basically told the veteran to stay in his lane, calling him a washed-up boomer who needs to read the patch notes before stepping into the ring, commanding a massive swarm of shadow units to dive. Bomb Yama. Our guy gracefully sidestepped the ambush and instantly popped his summoning skill to bring out the Devourer. That massive Fang familiar went absolute goblin mode on the weird ox monk who tried to tank the hit but got launch padded hundreds of meters away. Homie finally hit the brakes and burned his cooldowns to actually, no, wait, he just shoved the monster off. Right as Yama teleported behind him for the backstab. A massive tidal wave of crimson hellfire trapped him instantly, forcing a panicked standing ox to deploy his defensive chain abilities just to survive the tick damage. The dude angrily cleared the fire area of effect, but Yama hit him with a surprise projectile attack, using a shattered blade, making the furious ox counterattack with pure rage. Bro was cooked out of nowhere. This dude chucked a massive right hook at our boy Yama, hitting him so insanely hard that bright leaking right out of the corners of our MCS mouth. But our guy just waved his fingers and spawned his pet muncher beast back onto the server, hoping to knock the enemy back out of melee range. Actually, no. That absolute tank standing ox just caught the monster's teeth, with his bare hands roaring so loud that he was shook, literally glitched out and exploded into dust. Suddenly, a ridiculous 10,000 hammer black rope combo dropped, unleashing a gigantic heavy metallic tornado right into the underworld zone, while Standing Ox was just cracking up like an absolute, screaming that a washed-up boomer god could never clear their boss raid. So Yama just whipped out his busted starting weapon, dicing up the floating debris chunks like a speedrunner, while that totally sus monk Standing Ox kept running his mouth about how our boy's top tier blade skills and that drippy red cape, plus his entire loaded roster of guildmates got completely wiped off the server, saying his prime era was totally over, but right. Mid-sentence, a cracked blade beam literally sniped his arm, and gazing at the tiny scratch, the big guy just scoffed, saying it would take literal ages of grinding to actually zero his health bar, but literally one frame later, that entire limb snapped completely cleanly in half, with Yama staring down at him like pure trash, claiming that eating melee damage with total skill issue only works if you do not forget the underworld fire ticks that bypass those metal links. To negate the burning damage completely, you are still just a cooked random NPC, at the end of the day merging those metal directly into your own character model. Wait, scratch that. By blending Dahi the Devourer as skill tree with my kit, I actually unleashed the ultimate, adding in that sweet type 2 soul bonsai mechanic, making an absolutely broken shockwave that literally shattered the underworld, absolutely shook, and desperately spamming defensive cooldowns against that broken blade, while the Monster S busted passive buff, stacking with the bonsai completely nuked. A massive crater straight through the Dark Horn Abyss floor. Honestly, our MC was admitting his own DPS stats took a massive nerf, lately dropping the mic and telling Standing Ox to shut his, demanding the enemy spill the tea on Big Beard's upcoming raid plan. And the Ox guy actually countered by asking if anyone knew why the earthly branches got teleported to the human surface. Yama was low-key flabbergasted. Wait, the boss actually had a hidden motive for transferring them down there as that creepy bald ox dude. hit him with a massive fake sigh, roasting our MC for only caring about handing out bans and ignoring that the game lore is way deeper than any smooth brain could guess, with regular noobs getting tossed into the penalty box for griefing, then taking massive damage loops before respawning, where those branch guys carry completely essential guide roles for the banned players, dropping a crazy rhetorical question, asking why the Underworld CEO never questioned how the most toxic griefers suddenly become perfectly obedient. Little NPCs down in the penalty zone? Well, because the branches literally hold admin privileges over mortal accounts. I mean, think about it, anyone rolling a rat birth, the actual rat branch boss, which is exactly the massive exploit Lord Bigbeard is trying to abuse to permanently fix human, hard locking them out of their free will, entirely using the branch squad to remotely pilot every single action the humans ever take. Absolute mad lad basically trying to own the whole server, making Yama, wait, hold up, wondering how that impossible patch could ever go live. So, supposedly Bigbeard recruited his guild members by grinding a charisma check, just chatting them up, but the dog earthly branch actually dodged the check completely, swearing he would never join that toxic faction, promising to instantly leak the logs to our boy Yama, even if he was officially offline, because once the admin heard Lord Bigbeard just had to drop a massive sacrifice play to silence him, asking what kind of twisted meta event could actually expose the pure nightmare fuel trash tier behavior of regular humans deciding they needed a first-hand trial run, sending Dahi crashing face, first crying about how the main boss literally threw them away and nerfed their accounts completely, just to run a test, but holding the line, Yama basically told him to stop stressing over bait, claiming banned accounts, always spam fake news right before getting deleted while standing ox. Just kept acting like a totally crazy Joker. Rip-off. Gloating that everything was perfectly following Bigbeard's galaxy. Since regular humans are honestly just bad programming, by default, meaning the branches stuck on the mortal map will catch on quick eventually. Partying up with Bigbeard anyway to permanently hardware, whereban free will prompting Yama to drop his chilliest voice line, announcing the final ban hammer, confirming this griefer completely ruined the overworld balance, so his respawn cycle was officially getting deleted, too, which Standing Ox giggled happily, begging him to delete his save data, claiming he logged in with no gear and would log out with no gear, praying to the Bodhisattva to finally snip the annoying respawn loop for good, promising to track their IPS in the void, but Yama pulled the ultimate Uno reverse card knowing that for this specific troll, breaking the cycle was basically a massive reward, not a punishment. So our boy announced he was resetting his account into a literal bug character 1 million times with 0 memory wipes, instantly making Standing Ox realize he was super cooked, screaming out in pure horror and calling the admin crying that he messed up, and admitting Yama understood mortal toxicity way better, whining that humans are actually goated, right? Before totally securing the dark chain underworld sector, right? As the freshly rolled dog branch Aosu popped into the lobby to say, "What is up?" Our boy Yama unfolded that note. White Ox handed over. Meanwhile, some ginger dude was absolutely trolling inside his filthy goblin cave. Bro was dying laughing, calling these internet scammers peak entertainment. He literally could not log off. His boba was drained. Man needed hydration. Stat right before spotting that leftover ramen broth. Drinking old noodle juice is actually wild, but he went for it, claiming it had that premium Mr. Kim flavor. Went out of nowhere. Yama randomly spawned right behind him, giving him a massive jump scare. Dude panicked, thinking he was getting robbed in a house with 0 loot, while our bestie scolded, complaining that he should have knocked first. Then the ginger guy literally stopped functioning, recognizing Lord Yama, like, holy crap. Is that really the big boss himself, bro? Instantly dropped to his knees, and death gripped our boy, crying about getting rescued and how sweating it out. In this mortal server finally paid off bagging for a complete rollback to the good old underworld days, pleading to get teleported back to hell, claiming the human realm is way too cursed. But literally, a split second later, somebody started tapping the 2 ghost mobs were acting mad. Polite asking if the rat earthly branch lived there, Jiwoo totally planned to escort our rat boy to a secure drop zone, but homie looked absolutely cooked, muttering about how humans are nightmare fuel. Then Jiwoo spotted the crazy loot hoarding up his bedroom, endless delivery containers stacked everywhere, alongside a kitchen sink that clearly had never seen soap in its huge red flag. This setup screamed that he had been solo surviving since dropping into the human realm. The ghost guy assumed our MC had been running solo too, grabbing Yama by the shoulder, acting all buddy-buddy, saying the human NPCs must have been griefing him so, ranting about how finding a safe zone is impossible, and everyone glares with zero chill. But our MC was just standing there, realizing this mob felt super sus. He lacked that classic metallic blood aura. The ghost claimed Lord Bigbeard could not pull up due to some crazy RNG, total unavoidable bad luck offering. A fake apology before demanding they team up. He tried dragging Yama away, but our mech had those maxed out strengths. Our boy locked in and asked the spirit dead, "Serious if I actually squad up with you? Do I get a boss fight with Big Beard?" Making the mob glitch out, backtracking saying a direct encounter is not unlocked yet, and trying to check our boy on his boss etiquette. Calling him disrespectful for not using titles, while Jiwoo warned our MC to check the radar, because things just went from bad to totally cooked. The girl finally saw how much worse can the RNG. Those two phantom mobs camping the entrance, the fire demon and his buddy, the fire scholar who just hit them with a smug little smirk, mocking her about her hair leveling up. Our bestie did not hesitate. She straight up lunged forward and grabbed the scholar by answering our MCS earlier question, confirming those toxic trashes would not drop a blood scent, flashing back to when Jiwoo and her veteran partner logged in for her literal tutorial quest. The main objective was recruiting an unaligned ghost player, specifically targeting this random NPC named Dongfeng Cho to secure his special burial cloth loot. Human factions had already spammed his inbox 1,000,000 times, meaning his loyalty meter was basically ready to pop. Plus he was completely off the grid from other spirits. But horrible. RNG spawned the fire demon and scholar squad at the exact same location. Dongfeng Cho just peeked over his shoulder, noticing Lilim, our girl standing there while the fire demon kept spitting absolute propaganda in his ear, promising that siding with Big Beard would instantly drop whatever legendary tier item he was grinding for, hyping up the boss, offering free buffs and shared admin privileges, telling Meister Dongfeng Cho he only needed to click accept on their dark contract. Who would fall for a scam? Jiwoo sent an urgent ping to her senior warning about the phantom ambush ahead. The fire demon aggressively snapped his neck toward his sis, tossing the aggro completely onto her, telling her to wipe the floor with them. Just like the old patch snapping back to present, Yama was mind blown, realized meant they were straight up deleting human NPCs from existence, completely wiping their data, so no trace was left behind. The fiery edgelord equipped a razor-sharp blade aiming it right at Jiwoo, barking at her to unhand his teammate immediately, but literally, one frame. Yama hoisted the dude into the air single-handed Uno, reversing the threat by demanding he drop the weapon. That immediately made the fire demon realize he totally messed up, trembling as he mentioned the rat branch was supposed to be completely nerfed, pointing out that our MC was definitely not the rat guy, right before the edge of the blade ignited with pure golden energy, triggering a massive AoE blast. The demon screamed at his sister to let him solo this boss fight, commanding her to speedrun, searching for the rat. But the scholar completely ignored the strategy, pointing out how our girl was radiating maximum killer intent. Why would anyone mess with an angry bestie, right? Completely locking onto her with pure rage, saying diplomacy was cooked, so she might as well roast her alive. Yama gently called Lilime's name and Jiwoo swallowed her panic instantly. She dodged out of the blast zone, pivoting to play full defense for the rat branch, watching this whole dynamic play out. The fire scholar's face twisted into absolute goblin mode. Jiwoo full sprinted into the room, announcing that the ghost faction rolled up on their base, promising to escort him to a safe zone, but the room was completely ghosted with nothing but a wide open window catch. Dude actually rage quit and vaulted out. He was actually running away was technically better for survival. Thinking she had to clap the enemies first, then track him down, would sprint outside feeling that level of panic. Jiwoo ultimately locked in her choice, deciding to prioritize rescuing. That fiery boss chick was literally 1 second away from chasing down Jiwoo, but then a massive freaking hand just dropped from the sky. Hellfire. Straight up, swallowed those crimson flames without even lighting up the dark sky, making those two undead dudes panic, cast a fast travel portal. They barely dodged getting absolutely wiped out. I mean, could you survive that? Black and red hellfire, totally sweating and screaming about how both of these guys were leaking sweat buckets, realizing the op monster they just saw was definitely Yama, claiming they already speedran like 600 meters. No time to heal the fire. Demon was totally shook, crying about how they were insanely cooked because he tracked them down like a literal radar. Our boy Yama just launched an airstrike from some random roof way out there, sending a gigantic fire nuke that completely yeeted those. Inside his own head, the fire demon was heavily raging at Toyota, Yu-chan wondering how anyone could actually try to PvP this absolute psycho monster in broad day. Meanwhile, Jiwoo was basically speed looting the area for any sign of the Rat Earth branch, thinking about how every single branch she met had their own unique Renji stats, weird body types, crazy hunger levels, and extreme guarding reflexes, which made her wonder what kind of broken build this rat would actually have. After farming enough clues, Jiwoo managed to track down the Rat Earth branch hiding like a total scrub in this super sketchy and right inside that super tight space. But the absolute second she walked up into its aggro zone, this rat branch scooping up handfuls of literal trash dirt and chucking it at her face, screaming to back off and stay out of its personal space, prompting our girl to saying she was Lilim, basically Lord Yama's right-hand man. Actually, no, she corrected to Lee Ji-woo, which made the rat pause and question if she really was Flex, telling her the only way it would ever trust her. Sis claims as if but she tried to explain that Lord Yama was currently busy grinding begging the rat to just follow her, but the creature straight up rejected it, saying she was capping, claiming every single human is a toxic liar who demands total trust, promising to carry them safely forever, only to drop them in the end game. The Rat Earth branch screaming about how it took 7 whole years of pure survival mode just to ditch those absolute scumbags telling her to get lost and delete. Then it just completely broke down, crying, yelling about how they only wanted to use its shroud powers for free buffs, so all demanding she go fetch the main guy Yama immediately, which suddenly triggered a flashback for Jiwoo, where she remembered asking her veteran mentor about the time she was a feral low-level noob when they first met, wondering what her mentor did to tame her, and realizing the answer, she just stepped up and gave the crying rat a massive bear hug. Meanwhile, back at the Soul Driver guild base, Baek Hyoshu started tackling the absolute mountain of paperwork. Reading that junk gave him a massive debuff to his brain, while the old fool character kept questioning why he even split the party from Lord Yama, making Baek Hyoshu yell out in serious frustration, saying that the dude's sketchy griefing behavior makes giving him any trust totally impossible, whether he should even leak the strats to him at all, causing the old fool to let out this totally muttering he never expected his previous trash talk to deal that much emotional damage. But whatever he already figured out, the White Ox was behind this quest line. Guessing the White Ox literally gave him the direct orders, since that dude is a max efficiency, mine maxer, and someone with that kind of try-hard build, getting captured by the undead fact. Definitely had some crazy backup server plans running in the background. Adding that despite their toxic rivalry calling him over, meant drop clearly tied to the White Ox, and realizing he could not keep his inventory hidden anymore, Baek Hyoshu was forced to just add him to the party, revealing that the White Ox had specifically commanded him back then to copy-paste an exact message over to the old fool boss, stating that in exactly 1 week he would log on to confront the snake who betrayed them. While back on the main battlefield, getting kited to death by the Hellfire, completely boxed inside a massive lava zone, and that nerd fire scholar desperately needed a 10 just to finish casting another escape portal, so the fire demon decided to tank the damage and stall the boss, while the ultimate shroud immersion fire skill, triggering a massive clash as these golden flames erupted. But honestly, from the undead's perspective, every single strike from our boy Yama felt completely broken. Like, how is that even fair? Forcing the guy to burn his entire block that continuous hellfire, DPS from wiping his HP, screaming at the fire scholar to speed up the cast, yelling his shield was about to break completely, while the sister yelled the progress bar was almost full, letting the struggling fire demon finally see throwing him into absolute hype, thinking they actually cheesed an escape. But a sudden black chain from the underworld instantly hit him with a massive stun lock, giving Yama the perfect opening to just sprint straight into their escape, proving this entire fight was completely scripted by Yama's 200 IQ brain just to track down the Earth Branch's hidden lobby. While back at the admin desk, started decoding the hidden messages dropped by the White Ox, figuring out the Ox meant to hand them a special raid quest, claiming that in 1 exact week she would break free from their mind control. Cause no way. A Galaxy Brain player like the White Ox gets kidnapped that easily by the enemy faction? I mean seriously, unless some rat secret, meaning an actual fake friend, straight up leaked the coordinates for the Earth branch, along with proving the big boss Yama was AFK when the bearded guy and his squad rolled up, so to prevent any future server leaks. Their absolute top priority mission upon his respawn is to hunt down the imposter within a strict 1-week time limit. Things shifted as our boy Yama basically speedran through that portal straight into the Earth branch second meetup spot, leaving this random zombie dude totally shook. The mob was like, bro, ain't no way you represent the rat faction, since your character model looks way off, but whatever, I guess I have to trust you. So, where did that other undead, the one who literally unlocked the server for you, making our MC fumble hard for a decent... He casually lied, saying his buddy went to farm more Earth branches before logging off, which somehow worked. The guard complained about their massive quest backlog recently, while Yama eagerly pushed his way into the main hub area. Inside, the graphics were super glitchy with spooky lighting. His whole strat was to cosplay as Laura, until these mobs finally teleport the Earth straight over to the boss room of Big Beard so he could tail them. And once that bearded final boss showed up, but honestly finding his teammate was the real priority here. So, he spun around trying to track down where they stashed White Ox, right? When someone interrupted, a heavily tanned girl suddenly stepped into his aggro range, flexing her title as Cleopatra and acting like a high-level elite. Working directly under Big Beard, but telling him to just use the nickname Cleo, she ordered her zombie squad around while offering to guide our boy to a safe zone for a quick HP Apparently, they had to camp there for 7 whole days before heading to the boss. Though she was heavily side-eyeing our MC because nobody ever claimed the rat faction members were this physically... She literally tried to shoot her shot and touch him, but some boomer NPC blocked her riz immediately, warning her to take her dating sim gameplay somewhere else, reminding her not to break any rules set by Lord Big Beard himself. This absolutely tanky old dude revealed his name, serving as the admin for the primary spawn zone, leaving Yama completely baffled. Wait, exactly how many hidden lobbies did these villains and just how many Earth Branch heroes got captured by this broken system? Plus, he honestly assumed every single undead mob rocked the exact same default skin tone. But seeing Cleo looking so unique made him wonder if their pigment RNG was catching onto his vibe. Cleo just smirked, like praising his insane game sense. She dropped the sickest lore bomb, explaining their cosmetic skins upgraded based on their kill-death ratio. Wait, so you literally get AP stats just by griefing more innocent players than the basic trash mobs do. She promised to drop the full tutorial on him once they bonded more. And a quick time skip later, Yama was they told him to recover his stamina and just ping the zombie guard outside if he needed items while back at the base. Popping up over in the level 1. Underworld Daishe was totally freaking out, claiming their server was crashing hard. Even Old Crazy lost his Discord connection with Yama, panicking because their access to the Underworld lobby is getting nerfed this hard. Really? That bad? Well, the old dude clarified that Lord Yama typically runs his Underworld as an open-world map where his guild members can fast travel whenever. So getting locked out meant somebody either threw a massive debuff on the big boss, using insane magic, or some overpowered entity was actively hacking his admin privileges, with the second option being way more likely. Since our GOAT was basically infiltrating Big Beard private server, that area of effect debuff meant Dashi, who usually not clips through dimensions, was now permanently stuck outside the Underworld paywall. Meanwhile, Jiwoo dragged in the Rat Earth branch guy, leaving the whole squad with literally zero choice but to on Yama, pulling off a massive clutch while they handled side quests, absolutely clueless that their glorious king was currently... Right then, Dachel quietly asked if doing a spa day mid-mission was really the strat, but our boy figured going stealth mode was better than drawing deciding to just milk the free recovery buffs while the coast was clear, reassuring everyone that once his cooldowns reset, he would literally grab every single zombie in the vicinity and yeet them straight back to the Underworld map. When suddenly some Seuss audio cues instantly triggered Yama's spider sense since his personal zombie guard had mysteriously despawned, so he followed a creepy red trail on the floor and the door wide open, revealing Cleo acting mad. Flirtatious, asking where he wandered off to, assuming he had already bragging that this absolute slaughter was the penalty for fumbling an escape run, claiming she practically sweated buckets, begging for his reaction while calling him Lord Yama, straight to his face, teasingly asking if he wanted to know how she doxed his secret identity while looking so crazy attractive. Our MC was completely mind-blown by the plot twist, warning he would literally rage quit and nuke the entire lobby to zero rushing forward to scan White Ox for damage, yelling at his bro to look up so he could check his HP bar. The homie gasped, asking how the underworld king spawned in his cell, while Yama just thanked the RNG gods he was still awake. Cleo immediately dashed in to interrupt the rescue animation, screaming for him to stop causing Yama to lock onto her with the most absolute terrifying death glare, as literal underworld fire charged up in his palm, hitting her with a paralysis debuff, so intense she thought her run was permanently. Suddenly, animation canceled the whole fight by stepping between them, begging Yama to power down, because Cleo was actually an undercover was literally just high-tier cosmetic items and fake. Our main character was entirely glitching out, like, bro, you almost running a scam looking like you got totally cooked. White Ox smugly replied, it was obviously a high. Alright, the strat is to play dead, make it look like I'm seriously injured, so these ghouls drop their guard, and that's my window to bounce from this whole association. That was a serious grind. I'm so wiped I literally haven't slept this well in ages. Cleo, you totally earned this rep. Lord Yama is low-key terrifying, right? Usually he's such a doofus, but when he gets angry, White Ox is saying he becomes a whole different beast. He lays out the game plan telling Cleo to bamboozle the ghoul guarding the gates, but Yama immediately vetoes it, saying he can't trust her. White Ox vouched for her, though explaining he knew her from hell. Cleo was basically a server admin with the title Dictator, but then Yama announced he wasn't leaving with them. In 1 week, my plan is this: since I'm already here, I might as well go say hi and teach that guy a lesson he won't forget. Teach Big Beard a lesson. Wait, what? Even if you're gonna throw down, isn't it a little too soon for a boss? You don't have a sword or a spear, you're basically naked, but he just says don't sweat it. I'm Yama. So, White Ox had no choice but to buy in. If it's our boy Yama, it's a guaranteed W, no questions asked. And for now, the whole plan is running smooth as silk. No random variables have popped up yet. Meanwhile, over in the Black Body Hell, the demon siblings and the fire... Okay, maybe not chilling. They were terrified, desperately trying to glitch their way out of the Black Body Hell, but they were totally trapped with no escape route. Whatever happens, just let Yama find Lord Big Beard. If those two clash, who knows what kind of epic chaos will pop. I have failed you, Lord Big Beard. The Fire Scholar explained the only way out if someone with a power level similar to Yama's came and opened the door for them. They'd be able to escape, and right then a crack split open in their dimension, but the aura seeping through wasn't Yama's, and it definitely wasn't Big. We cut to a new scene with TV news channels reporting that the Year of the Snake Gang had just completely vanished, stopping all criminal activity for an entire week, while Bayasu complained that sifting through old files like this was a total waste of time. But then Old Fool spotted something seriously strange up on a roof. A huge crowd of people are just squatting on the ground, which is super not normal. I counted more than 350 of them. They're all crouched down in perfect evenly spaced rows. I've got a really bad feeling that something totally uncontrollable has just happened. And at that exact moment, the dimension of the Blackhorn Hell shatters into a million pieces, leaving the demon siblings completely shook as a human hand punches right through the fabric of space and into their world, just as Bandit returns to the rally point with some fruit. He was horrified to see the entire safe house was a raging inferno. He's like, what is even happening right now? He immediately sprinted into the room without a second thought. There, the earthly branch of the snake was just sitting there, holding a black orb, and asked, "Oh, Mr. Bandit, did you bring the fruit?" Bandit was furious, screaming, "Earthly branch of the snake, what have you done?" But the guy just replied super coldly, "I just ate a meal about 10,000 people to be exact." Bandit Ling Shu was stunned. "You psycho, what are you even talking about? Are you insane? Is this the first time you've seen a human eat the dead?" Bandit was confused. "Wait, human, aren't you an earthly branch? Who are you for real?" The man didn't answer. The fire demon and the fire scholar were just standing there, respectfully serving him. "Yeah, the fire demon and fire scholar. You two punks, why are you on his side? Did you betray Lord Big Beard?" And in a flash, the man was standing right behind him. "Bandit, don't pressure them. They told me themselves they wanted to be my tools, and I had no reason to refuse their offer." "Damn it." Bandit swung at him, but the earthly branch of the snake just stood there calmly, while all across the city citizens born in the Year of the Snake began to mindlessly attack people with knives. Luckily, Jiwoo showed up just in time to start putting them down one by one. But there were just too many of them, a literal Zerg rush, and Lee Jiwoo could only run around trying to put out fires. It was complete chaos. Why would everyone suddenly start attacking each other? That's when Old Fool revealed they were all being influenced by an earthly branch. The branch is controlling them like puppets, every single person. born in the year of the snake across the entire country, is being manipulated, but before he could even finish his sentence, the sky itself ripped open. A massive serpent was twisting its body like a maniac, staring down at the mortal world with an absolutely terrifying presence. This giant sky serpent was dead set on killing 10,000 citizens, and it was coiling its body in the sky, getting ready to smash through the barrier of the mortal realm, and this massive power flex immediately shook things up for Yama and Big Beard at the second rally point. Yama felt a super disturbing ripple in the force. He immediately told Cleo to look after White Ox, then he just blasted off, taking a super dangerous shortcut to get to the giant snake location. Meanwhile, all the people on the ground saw the snake in the sky, and their faces were just pure terror. And our boy Serpent is just standing there, an absolute unit posted up on this massive snake. After personally speedrunning, the end is so close he can taste it. His face is pure hype, only 1,000 more to go. But back at HQ, even Big Beard feels something is off, like this power level is way too sus for a mere Zodiac. He's convinced the Shroud's master must have pulled some strings, and Ox is like, "Should we go get it back then?" Big Beard just stalls for a sec. He hits Ox with a pop quiz. Who do you think is the strongest Zodiac member? And Ox is kinda shook, but he figures for pure DPS, it's gotta be Dragon or Tiger. But if we're talking about who has the most insane growth potential, it's Serpent, Big Beard says quietly. "I've got a new side quest for you, a special one, and you're the only one who can pull it off," he tells him. Then back in the city, that giant snake has made its landing. Serpent rolls up with his new minions, the Fire Demon and the Fire Rudies, just to be extra. They're scaring the absolute daylights out of the civilians who are just trembling on the ground, and the Fire Demon grins at the chaos. "You not hungry?" he asks Serpent. "Looks like there's some fresh off the boat humans down there." But bro, Serpent's face just goes dark. "Fire Demon," he says. "Did I say you could speak to me? Pull that stunt again and you are cooked." And the Fire Demon immediately starts bowing, terrified. My bad, won't happen again," he says. But inside he's just fuming, calling him a dirty bastard. But he keeps that on mute. See, these two siblings basically had to bend the knee, begging him to let them join his party. It was a total desperation play to stay alive, because this dude who collects hearts is way too terrifying, and nobody wants to be on his menu, right? The guy just looks curious, huh? That's a new one. First time I've ever seen the deceased want to be my lackeys. "Maybe I should just eat you instead," he muses, and the Fire Demon is thinking total psycho, but on the outside, he's turning on the Riz. "Look, you seem to appreciate fine dining, and we siblings are masters of flame. We'll get that perfect sear every time. We'll handle the prep work perfectly for when Lord Serpent, plus my sister can teleport. She'll fast travel you anywhere you want, no cooldowns." And hearing this, Serpent actually considers it. He gives them a little welcome gift, some of his own digestive fluid, and if they don't get the anti-venom from him at a fixed time, they'll just slowly melt from the inside out, a brutal debuff. "I got no reason to trust you guys," he says. "Just say so, if you don't want to drink it." And thinking back on it, the Fire Demon breaks out in a cold sweat. Then suddenly a wicked red light streaks across the sky. Yama drops in from above like a meteor strike, throwing a punch that Serpent casually blocks with one hand, triggering a massive explosion. The two new minions are totally bewildered, like, how is Yama? Here, wasn't he supposed to be camping at the second rally point? As the smoke clears, Yama looks just as confused. He only came because he smelled some serious blood in the air. But this situation is way weirder than he expected. That's a human, and he's wearing the Serpent Shroud, and that smell of blood. It's intoxicating. Just how many people did this bastard kill to get that aura, he asks. Did Serpent give you that shroud? But before he can even finish it, the absolute unit of a snake unhinged its bloody maw, lunging straight for Yama. But our silver-haired boy just cracked a tiny little smirk. The thing hissed, "Oh, you'll find her soon, Professor. She's got a front row seat inside my stomach." And then bam! A huge explosion kicked up a massive... This is the first time I've ever met someone who knows the master. He thinks to himself, never imagined this. "And you're a Zodiac member too. What's your special ability? Guess I'll find out when I eat you." "You dare call her Professor?" As the smoke clears, Yama has gone full demon mode. "You killed the one who taught you, didn't you? And ate her too? You stole that shroud," he snarls, but the silver-haired man just scoffs. "What kind of nonsense are you spouting? Is this your first time seeing a human eat the dead Yama?" He's completely enraged and charges in. "I've seen it 10,000 times, you damn sinner." The punch is so fast the silver-haired guy has to dodge. But the giant snake lunges with its jaws wide open to bite Yama. Damn snake, he growls. Pure scarlet bloodlust just explodes in Yama's eyes. He casually punches the giant snake away, but its tail whips around and slams right into him. While he's blocking that, the silver-haired dude jumps him with a surprise attack, forcing Yama to power up again. But then he sees the green venom on the guy's hand and pauses. Poisons are nerfed against me, but I'm still a little worried here. This kid isn't fighting with his full power at all. What is this weird feeling? Are you hiding something from me? The silver-haired man is now coughing up blood. Looks like you have no idea about the professor's shadow power. He leaps high into the air using the bandit technique, which lets him devour and absorb the skills of anyone he eats, and Yama's face just hardens. Do you have any idea who you're talking to? With such disrespect, the silver-haired man starts to backpedal. You're not helping the Lord, are you? So, our boy Yama just casually drops a lore bomb saying the memories of anyone he eats get shared. He and his sister are just frozen, totally shook, that this giant snake boss had the guts to actually aggro Yama. They watched the poison projectile. It was heading straight for the sea and a kid who was trying to escape. So Yama had to speed run over there and tank the hit. And the villain's just like, bro, your life is on nightmare. But this actually works in my favor, he says with my current stats. I can't beat you anyway. What a total shame. We'll have our rematch later though, he adds and then just tries to dip, but Yama is seeing red. Literal hellfire is just erupting all around him. And who gave you permission to leave? Yama roars as he charges, but the silver-haired dude just glances over his shoulder. Our target is the low-level players, he says, and cue the giant serpent flying up its jaw, just glowing with this sick green venom. Then it just unleashes a total storm, countless streams of venom raining down like a green meteor shower from hell, and every last drop is homing in on innocent civilians. The villain is just taunting him. Go on, try to be the— You're not going to be able to save everyone. Wrong. I'm saving all of them, Yama yells as he dashes forward, roaring at the Snake Center the next time we meet. I'm going to be the one to end you personally. And I don't care if you're on your knees begging and crying for mercy. I will make you regret you were ever born. But the silver-haired guy just gives him this smug, provocative look and says, bring it on, psycho. Seeing the venom is literally seconds away from wiping out countless people. Yama takes a huge breath and just screams, oh, fool, bring the shroud, right now. And the old dude is just panicking. My shroud, what the heck is all that green light? But one look at the sheer murderous intent on Yama's face, and they knew, okay, this is a code red situation. Someone says, Lord Yama must have a good reason for this. I mean, the last time he made that face was so many years ago. Back when he first descended into the mortal realm, the guy adds, Lord Yama, my shroud has some nasty side. I know, Yama says, take my worthless memories. I don't even care. And we get a lore drop. The old fool's shroud is called Reminiscence. So, for a price, it can literally ignore causality and rewind anything to a previous save state. And the cost is Lord Yama's complete memory bank, which starts getting deleted at an insane speed. Yama grits his teeth, realizing that burning this much data can only keep the reminiscence effect active for about 1 second, but seeing the green venom about to murk all those innocents. Yama gives this wicked grin. 1 second is plenty. I offer my memories, he declares the target for. This time rewind is myself, and in the next instant our boy is wrapped in this insane red light. He's channeling his OP form from 300 years ago, the one who first descended on the world, rocking his scarlet shroud. Yama's mind kicks into overdrive. A red light just flares up in his hand, and he unleashes a storm of 10,000 red meteors instantly, and with perfect aim, taking down every single drop of that poison midair. And our boy is just like, was a whole second too long for that. Meanwhile, over at the Cleo is totally shook, seeing that green light flare up again. She's like, Lord Yama, what on earth was that just? That was the serpent. She realizes what is even happening. I need to warn White Buffalo now, but just then, this dude called the defunct behind her gives her a threatening look. I heard you call him Lord Yama, so he isn't the rat of the earthly branch after all, is he? It all makes sense now, why you stayed by White Buffalo's side. Cleo, you're the mole, aren't you? He accuses, and she just claps back. So, I mean, don't you also think the Great Beard Order's plan is totally absurd, trying to take away human freedom? Shut it, traitor! The defiant one screams, launching these hooks at her. But in a flash, Cleo summons her Anubis shroud with a single move. A golden staff just skewers the defiant, and she's like, you should remember that. Anyone who fights me signs their own death warrant. Cleo then casts her spell, and countless souls just start swirling around her before immediately swarming the other defuncts. "Aren't you afraid, Cleo?" one of them asks, but she just stands her ground. "I'm simply on the side of what I believe is justice." Once that's handled, Cleo immediately barges through White Buffalo's door. "Lady White Buffalo, you have to get out of here right now. I've dealt with the one defunct who knew the truth," she says, "but it's only a matter of time before the rest of them catch on. So I'll do everything I can to mislead whoever comes through that door next." But just as she was about to make her exit, Ox appears silently behind her, trying to escape Cleo. "Where are you rushing off to?" At the same time on the city's perimeter, Jiwoo had been doing her best to handle the rioters, but the sheer number of attacks raining from the sky was seriously putting her on edge. Suddenly, the attacks got totally nerfed, losing all their destructive power because of a red light, and she knows there's only one person capable. Right then, Jiwoo notices an old woman passing by, muttering for a being with no authority to dare and disrupt causality. "What a reckless fool. He's caused problems again with his recklessness," she says. "But this still isn't enough. It needs a little something more." "Oh, and you'll be cooked if you keep daydreaming," the old lady says. And just as Jiwoo is trying to process what that even means, Yama pops up right behind her, out of thin air. Someone rushes in like, "Lord Yama, holy crap, when did you get back?" Then they're looking all around. "You literally just missed her. Weird, must have been a hallucination," he says, totally brushing it off. But she's all, "Whatever, thank God you're here, we gotta go save Lady White Ox." So she asks, "Did you handle that freaky snake then?" But the Yama in front of her just looked completely blank, asking who the heck is White Ox. Back at the office, Jiwoo was watching him like a hawk and realized the awful truth: our boy Yama got hit with a memory wipe. "Like, how bad is it?" she asks, and he can't even remember Dumbledore's face or his powers, so it clicked that he wasn't faking it. He was genuinely cooked. From the get-go, Jiwoo rushes over and whips out a cup of some magical-looking blue water from the well, because of course there's a magic well. Everyone's best guess was that this was a nasty side effect, a debuff from using the old fool. And what's even wilder, right after Lord Yama used the shroud, the old fool himself just poofed out of existence. But that creepy old lady was still giving Jiwoo the chills, and at that same moment, Yama started getting this deep, unsettling feeling. A couple of memory fragments started flickering in his mind, sparking a nasty feeling in his gut. Like, damn, am I getting soft? He wonders. Maybe I've been away from the underworld for way too long. And as he thought, he straight up crushed the cup in his hand, then was like, "My bad, Lord Yama, glad you're not hurt or anything." Jiwoo, whose name is apparently Lilim, just smiled back and said, "Lord Yama, could you tell me a little about this Lilim person since you always call me that?" "I'm actually a bit curious," she says. "I can even tell you about my own past and hearing her story." Yama was completely shook like, "Wait, you're saying you have zero memories of your childhood?" And she was like, "Knew you'd be surprised." Jiwoo laid out her whole backstory, saying she heard a meteor crashed into a mountain, and when people went to check out the crater, they discovered a lake that had never been there before, and everyone thought this lake was some kind of miracle. So, naturally, it became a huge tourist trap. Then, after a while, a dead guy named Dongfang Shuo just appeared near the lake, and the soul guide who was investigating this dead dude found me butt naked in that very lake, and that soul guide was my superior. "Was that the superior you mentioned before?" Yama asked, and Jiwoo's head dropped, this insane longing just shining in her eyes. The image of this person from her past kept flashing in her mind. "No, not my superior. She was my mom." Then suddenly, she snapped out of her sobbing, looked right at Yama, and asked, "Lord Yama, am I connected to the meteor, the lake in Dongfang Shuo?" Yama got super serious looking right at her. "If my guess is right, Jiwoo, you are." But just then a familiar voice cut in. "Lord Yama, long time no see," the dude says. "Big Beard sent me. He wants me to help you put this snake on ice." Jiwoo immediately went into high alert, seeing this new deceased person show up, out of nowhere, but in the blink of an eye. The guy was already behind her going, "Who are you?" Then he's all, "Same hair color, and you even got that faint minty smell." "I heard Lord Yama got a new subordinate, and I was confused." He said, "But man, this is genuinely surprising. That's gotta be Lily, right? She must have reincarnated," he declared, and Yama just shot him a super annoyed look, like, "Stay out of my business." "So you really ended up following Big Beard after all?" Yama sighed, and the guy was like, "Hey, it's not like I had any other choice." Asked what this guy's deal was, and Yama explained, "He's the ox." Hearing that, her eyes lit up like a Christmas tree. Please teach me your ways. It's an honor. I'm Lee Ji-woo, she said. The ox couldn't believe it. No way, the legend is real, he muttered, then asked, wait, you seriously know who I am, kid? Ji-woo gave Yama the rundown, explaining that Ox is a legit figure from mythology, way back when there was an ox herd named Ox who took care of the goddess White Ox, and there was also a famous weaver, known for making these gorgeous silks, and the heavens basically blessed them with an arranged marriage, hoping but they were both such workaholics, they never even looked at each other, which is just sad. So the Jade Emperor himself felt bad for them. So while the Weaver Girl was out raising silkworms, he dropped a bolt of lightning right between them. This sudden flash made the two finally notice each other, and boom, it was love at first sight, and they lived happily ever after. Or what a load of crap, Ox's face went ice cold. Is that really what they say, that we had happy and joyful days? A crazy amount of power just exploded from Ox's body, making Jiwoo's heart skip a beat, and she was thinking, yeah. This aura is definitely not from... This is way above a normal deceased's pay grade. If I had to fight him, I'd be cooked. Who just walked over and patted his shoulder like he was calming down a puppy. Dude, dial it back a notch. And the terrifying presence vanished as Ox bowed. My bad. I got a little carried away, he said. And after that, the group started planning their next move, getting ready to head over to the Soul Guides Association headquarters, and Ox reports in We're Back. Apparently, White Ox had brought someone named Cleo. Bai Baek Ah Soo and Lady White Ox were absolutely losing their minds with joy, like you've been through so much. Our boy... But White Ox knew their situation was still cooked, because they had just run into the one and only Ox. As White Ox's personal nemesis Ox went and slapped a cursed brand on him, a nasty debuff. And you better believe White Ox was absolutely... I literally let my guard down on purpose just to avoid this. He thought, I can't believe I'm getting dragged around by this guy again. He is legit the person I vibe with the least on this entire planet. So, Baek Ah Soo and Cleo started bringing White Ox all his gear. They delivered all the required materials, but Baek Ah Soo was giving him the side eye, super confused about the shopping list. None of these crafting materials have anything to do with Serpent, he pointed out. But White Ox just hit him with a big brain hypothetical. What if a super greedy human got an OP absorption skill? Exactly. A dude like that would immediately think, I'm not about to lose all this XP, I want to keep this power forever. To even stand a chance of catching him, they have to speedrun the mission before he pops his ultimate. So, first things first. They gotta find this guy, Dongfang Shuo, who's rumored to have lived for a ridiculously long time. Meanwhile, we cut to some dude with and he will not stop coughing up blood. Like, my god, that guy only tagged me a few times, and now I've got a permanent bleed effect. This is way too risky, he says, demanding the fire demon give him the full rundown on this Dongfang Shuo character, and the demon immediately starts spilling the tea. The legend says this dude is a human who's been around for over 10,000 years, and the silver-haired guy just scoffs a human living 10,000 years. Do you honestly think I'm a complete idiot? He snaps, and the fire demon quickly bows. My mission from Lord Greatbeard was to find Dongfang Shuo and get his invincibility cheat code and immortality buff, since we can't even put a dent in him. Plus, he's impossible to pin down, so we were having a really tough time. But for you, Lord Serpent, you could probably just wipe the floor with him. Lord Serpent loved the sound of that, a little smirk playing on his face as he ordered the Fire Scholar to go collect 1,000 hearts by any means necessary. Then he told the fire demon they were going to hunt Dongfang Shuo together. Basically a 2-for-1, collect the hearts while capturing the immortal dude. It's the perfect strategy, right? Meanwhile, Yama is over here experiencing a total system failure, trying to he can't for the life of him remember who White Ox is, and then he gets ticked off at Cleo, asking why she's always hiding behind him. It's so awkward. Get off of me, he grumbles, but White Ox explains that Cleo just gets like this whenever she's around new women. So, Jiwoo Fuya pulls out a chocolate bar for Cleo, remembering some sage advice from an elder. If you want to make friends, food is the ultimate cheat code, and it works like a charm after one bite. Cleo's eyes totally light up, and she instantly starts vibing with Jiwoo. They become besties in seconds, but right then, Jiwoo gets pinged for a support mission and has to dip. Yama's stressing over how they're supposed to find Dongfang Shuo, but White Ox remembers his last known location. He was last seen near the city center, and at that very moment, Ox is posted up high on a building looking down on everyone. Yama immediately starts complaining. Of course, the pretty boy with the edgy eye patch is trying to act all mysterious and cool. All right, let's get a move on, she said. We just need to follow the alert signal coming from the bracelet. What's with that look on your face? White Ox snaps, remembering how flustered Fox was earlier when he tried to explain how the device worked. A memory from 300 years ago was playing out crystal clear in his mind, so he asks, "Why are you here?" "Get to the point. Stop wasting my time. Let's go find Dongfang Shuo." And with that, we cut to the battlefield, where Jiwoo is facing off against a literal army of the dead. But she shows absolutely zero fear. Her shroud is just tearing through them, like she's farming mobs, which Cleo finds seriously impressive. How can a normal human fight like that? She's way too strong, she thinks just as Park. Yuna screams, "There are still people on the roof. Go rescue them fast." The next second, while still clearing out zombies, Jiwoo launches herself through a window and starts platforming up the side of the building on floating debris. She's moving with insane speed, pulling off some serious parkour moves before land. People are just shook, like, can that girl actually fly? But then she stops. Wait, who's up here? And suddenly a massive explosion. With her shroud, Jiwoo is just too agile for the few enemies that survived the blast. They couldn't touch her at all. "You good?" Jiwoo, a voice asks. She quickly locates two survivors, but the girl just stares at her with these ice-cold eyes and says, "Thanks, driver." The old man immediately jumps in. "Oh, I'm so sorry, miss. My granddaughter can't speak," which is super sus. "How can we ever thank you for saving us?" he asks. But Jiwoo just says, "No need," and turns to leave while trying to contact her team. She tries to reach Park Yuna, but the comms are dead. And as she walks off, the creepy girl gives her this super intense and meaningful stare. Her eyes flash blood red for a second. Then we're back with Yama and White Ox, who've just arrived at a tunnel. Is that supposed to be Dongfang Shuo? Because no chance. White Ox explains, the real Dongfang. Shuo is meant to be a final boss. This kid in front of us is a level 1 mob. He looks completely useless. Looks like we came all this way for nothing again, he sighs. But then the useless dude in front of them starts to move. How rude, calling someone a mob to their face. Yama just asks, "Excuse me, where did Dongfang Shuo go?" And the guy just replies, "I have no idea. My only job is to defeat you." Totally clueless about the danger zone. They just entered these two intruders, Our guy just scoffs, calling them literal trash mobs. Then he's like, "You have the nerve to call me a trash mob, and now you're trying to run." The other dude is just like, "Think whatever you want. Peace out," adding that it's totally normal to be scared. Because let's be real, nobody on this. Hearing that flex, the two swordmasters absolutely lost it, screaming, "What did you just say?" But Yama just hits him with a little smirk, totally unbothered. He's like, "Anyway, when you're talking about sword skills, I'm Ox, the one and only sword emperor, and I'm the strongest there is, you little brat." The other dude fires back, "How could you possibly be the strongest? What are you even talking about? My nickname is the sword emperor." He's like, "Stop capping, I'm a freaking god." And as they go back and forth like kids in a lobby, the real enemy just activates his sovereign shroud ability. A massive blade of energy comes hurtling right at them, and Ox immediately unsheathes his sword, unleashing his full power, probably thinking Lord Yama would handle this better. But he's like, "This one's on me," and a flash of purple light from his blade intercepts the attack instantly. Then he looks over and says, "Frankly, Lord Yama, you're totally useless." And just like that, hellfire ignites in Yama's hand as he claps back, "The only one who's truly is you." And massive flames erupt towards the sky, but the enemy just blocks it with a glowing blade, saying, "I can create brand new techniques just by thinking about it." Yama channels his own hellfire, twisting the flames in his palm, and the next second they blast off like cannonballs. These massive flames completely overwhelm the blade of light, and Yama immediately turns to flex on Ox like, "See, pretty much what I said, right, you blind fool." Ox just goes, "Are you high or something?" and soars into the air, activating Zodiac Ox, blocking every single one of the enemy's attacks in one. "Why are you talking like such a loser? The Lord Yama of today is just ridiculous. You're being reckless and stupid. You retired for this. This is the joke you left us for, to act like a damn fool." And with that, the scene rewinds 300 years into the past. Completely out of nowhere, Yama announces his retirement, getting to his feet, like it takes a huge effort, and says, "Let Big Beard take my place. Give him the shroud, I've already handed over the sword." But someone immediately asks, "Lord Yama, why are you doing this?" Ox mutters that Yama is probably cursing himself, then stands up and asks, "Are you going to go find Ilim? Are you going to her to apologize for what you did?" Hearing this, Yama looks a little stunned for a moment, then says, "I pity all of you too, but I don't regret my choice, because at the time," And I thought that even if I wasn't around, you guys would all get by just fine, and I have no idea how you see me now. Nigga malls But I am way more flawed than you could possibly imagine. And the very next second we're back in the present, he swings the sword and charges straight ahead, shattering the wall of light that was blocking their way. Instantly his movements become super steady and graceful, and then he unleashes these hellfire-infused strikes that slice right into the enemy's body. But when it comes to pure swordsmanship, I'm more perfect than you, he says, seeing Ox mimicking the moves. Then he taps him on the shoulder. Oh, and by the way, I know you're a pretty sensitive dude, but you absolutely cannot let your emotions get the better of you. So be careful or you'll die by my hand. But what the two of them didn't know was that the fight wasn't over yet. Not by a long shot. As a figure, a giant form slowly rose to its feet. Ha 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 ha, it feels like my entire body is just surging with power. After some weird apology, he just sends them all flying with a single sword swing. Well, I didn't see that coming. You're still on your feet after a hit like that, the enemy says with a smug grin. This is my shroud, the ultimate ability of the sword sovereign. If my opponent attacks me with a sword, I can absorb their skill and use their own techniques against them. That's how I became #1 with the blade. You can never defeat me as long as you're using a sword. He then twists his body, striking at them like a wild animal, and our boy is just shocked. He never expected such a busted ability to even exist. He even absorbed Lord Yama's sword style. Ox realizes before leaping in with Zodiac Scorpion, striking the enemy dead on. But even while getting hit, the enemy unleashes his own Zodiac Scorpion, and Ox is like, for real, he even absorbed my sword style. Now this is getting interesting. The enemy just laughs. Ha ha ha, I feel like my whole body is just overflowing with pure power.